I didn't even peep I was muted. Um, Yo, can y'all hear me? What's up? What's up? We are live. We are live. And oh shit, I keep forgetting. This tab's like always on as soon as the live starts. Anyway, what's up, y'all? We are live. What's cracking? Oh my god, bro, I'm stuffed. I just had a freaking fantastic birthday. I'd gone up, got my cake, got some good ass food for lunch, and then I just went to this bomb ass sushi place for dinner. And then I just had this amazing rainbow birthday cake, feeling like a little 2-year-old again. So yeah, it was cool. It's kind of weird being 20. It's kind of bro. I'm just reflecting on this channel, and I'm like, bro, I'm 20 years old now, and I started Jade's Corner when I was 14. That's kind of crazy, bro. That I've been doing this for that long, and I first started watching Teen Wolf when I was 12. Like, bro, I first started watching when I was 12, and I'm 20 now. That's kind of crazy, bro. I'm not gonna lie. So that's so wild. But how y'all doing tonight? I see we got 11 people in here. Y'all saw the thumbnail. You know what we're doing tonight for the 20th birthday special. I've been doing these for the last 3 years. Can't believe it's been 3 years since 2020. That's kind of crazy. But as y'all know, I started doing these when I turned 17 3 years ago. Every year on January 6th, obviously my birthday. Since then, I've been doing birthday specials. Like I'll put out like special Teen Wolf videos that are like on my birthday, which is why they're called birthday specials, obviously. And they'll usually be like rankings or like some big thing. So I think like when I turned 17, what was the video I did in 2020? I think I ranked like all the main villains of Teen Wolf or something like that. It was one of those types of videos. Then 2021, I forgot what I did. My apologies. You guys will probably know because you guys know like all my catalog of videos. I have almost 500 videos on the channel now. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Um, uh, and then last year, I think I put out 3 videos. I re-ranked all the werewolves in Teen Wolf, which was a fun video to do. And then I did all the main villains on Teen Wolf, I'm pretty sure. And then I ranked all the creatures in the show. So yeah, this year is gonna be definitely the biggest one we're doing so far. Um oh, it's 1:32 a.m. for you guys. It's only 8:33 p.m. for me where I am. So yeah, it's still kind of early for me. I don't go to sleep until like 1 or 2 a.m. So I'm chilling. I'll probably be playing my new birthday present, as y'all know, or as you guys didn't know. Um, didn't you do that legendary live stream where we had looking at all those beautiful ladies, bro? That was 2 whole years ago already, bro. That was back like at the end of January 2021, bro. That was so fire. That was the one where we were all debating which female looked better. Like Margot Robbie and Crystal Reed and stuff. That was a fun live stream, bro. Never forget that. Black chocolate. That was the live stream where you became an absolute goat. No, not gonna lie. But yeah, as y'all know, for my 20th birthday, this year, we're gonna be doing, like I mentioned before, the biggest ranking we've done so far in not only for the birthday specials, but for the channel as a whole. This live stream is probably going to be maybe an hour and a half, if not more, because as you can see on screen with my shared screen here, we have every single episode of Teen Wolf all here, all 100 episodes. We're going to be going through all the episodes, ranking them from the F tier, which is the worst episodes in the show, to the S tier, in my opinion, at least. You guys can follow along. You guys can chat with me. When I go by episode, you guys can give me your thoughts and opinions on each episode as we go through. Um, and yeah, didn't want to make this intro too long because this is already going to be a long enough stream as it is. I wish I had my camera. I still don't have a camera yet for this new PC setup I have. I'm planning on getting one this year so you guys can start seeing my face again on streams. I know it's been a while. Usually when I do my live streams, I have my face cam on, but this new PC doesn't come with an inbuilt camera like my laptop, so I have to actually buy a separate camera for this. So, or like a new webcam, pretty much. But yeah, hopefully that little issue can be fixed soon. But yeah, just wanted to take a couple of minutes to acknowledge the fact that it is actually my birthday. Um, one more thing I want to mention is that Teen Wolf the movie comes out 20 days from today, which is crazy. So the birthday gifts do not stop. First birthday gift I got was my Steam Deck, which in my opinion is the greatest console ever made. I have been so happy the last couple of days playing my PlayStation 2 collection, my Nintendo Wii collection, and GameCube collection handheld for the first time ever. It's a mind-blowing system. Highly recommend the Steam Deck if you guys are interested in gaming, if you guys play any games for whoever is in this stream. It's a great ass console. It's way better than the Switch. It puts the Switch to absolute shame. Nintendo should be ashamed of themselves. It puts the Nintendo DS family to shame as well. It's literally the best handheld I've ever used in my life. Highly recommend it. But yeah, the birthday presents don't end there with the Steam Deck. Teen Wolf the movie and Wolfpack come out 20 days from now. So if you guys don't have Paramount Plus already, make sure you guys start saving up so you can get Paramount Plus the week, or rather, even better, the day the movie comes out along with Wolfpack, so y'all can watch. So they can see that we're all there from day one, so we can get Teen Wolf the movie 2 and Teen Wolf the movie 3 and keep this train going for however long it's supposed to last. So yeah. Without further ado, I think we should begin with the tier list. I'm gonna take a sip of water real quick. Cause man, I tell you, that birthday cake, bro, I was almost about to fall asleep before the stream. That shit was good as hell, bro. I was almost knocked out. Man, I'm so exhausted from today. But I'm still gonna do the stream for you guys, obviously. So I owe y'all big time for the lack of uploads in December. By the way, I put out a poll real quick before we start about you guys getting notified if my videos come out to you guys, because it seems like my community tab posts get pushed to you guys way more than the actual videos do, because my channel's views are like the lowest they've been in like damn near a year and a half. Like the numbers for the channel right now in terms of people watching and the views, it's really bad. So yeah, nowhere near where it was in mid 2022. What was the flavor of the cake? It was vanilla cake, bro. Can never go wrong with vanilla cake. The bomb. But yeah, just wanted to ask for everybody who's in the stream, do y'all get notifications when my videos drop? Because I posted at least like damn near almost 20 videos since Christmas, and like only 3 of them got past 1,000 views, which is kind of ridiculous because some of those were even Teen Wolf the movie videos, and even those didn't get over 1,000 views. And I'm like, what the freak, bro? Like every Teen Wolf the movie video I've ever posted, for the most part, easily is like the most popular topic on the channel, like without question. Like those videos generally perform better than most of the videos on my channel and get the most views and carry my channel numbers. Like the fact that even those were doing bad, I was like, okay, something is wrong with either YouTube or the channel. Maybe it's just one of those stretches where my channel just isn't performing well. Like maybe it's that type of the year or that time of the year. But it was just weird to me because I'm like, bro, how did I go from the Teen Wolf movie reaction and me getting like almost 5,000 views for my reaction to the trailer to me barely even pulling 1,000 views for every 6 videos I post? That's so stupid. So yeah, just wanted to address that real quick because it is an issue. Like I'm like, bro, I've been grinding out this content for y'all, bro. I'm like, how do I have 11,000 subs? Yeah, only 400 of my viewers every time are watching the videos. Like, watch the videos, y'all. My numbers are falling. We cannot fall behind. We are going to fade into irrelevancy if y'all don't watch the videos. Y'all can't just be looking at the community tabs, man. Watch the videos, bro. But anyway, let's get into the actual tier list. So, of course, we have every episode. We're going to go season by season. We have season 1 here, all the episodes in season 2 right here as well. We have all the episodes in season 3, part 1, season 3, part 2, season 4, season 5, part 1, season 5, part 2, season 6, part 1, all the way here, and then 6B. By the way, if you guys are wondering if you guys can go on this tier list too, I did link this tier list. This was all made by me though, by the way. Like all these icons you see for every episode, I literally spent like 4 hours today downloading at least one image from every episode, then going on my app I usually go to edit my thumbnails and just everything for the channel, turning those into square pictures, and then adding each episode number to all 100 of these photos. And then on top of the fact that I had to make this tier list myself. So everything you see on screen was all done by me and me alone. So this is just my tier list that I made. So if you guys want to go and rank all 100 episodes yourself, I did leave a link in the description of this video where you guys can click on that link and it'll lead you to this tier list right here you see. And after the stream or during the stream, if you want to rank the episodes along with me, you can have access to this tier as well. But anyway, let's get started with season 1, episode 1. So we have Wolf Moon, the series premiere. So Wolf Moon. Wolf Moon, in my opinion, is a good premiere, but I think it could have been better. I've had my opinions on Wolf Moon a lot over the years. It's gone up for me a lot in recent months, but previously, like before 2022, I wasn't really high on this episode. I think it's fine. It serves its purpose well as a series premiere, but I don't think it's one of the best episodes of the series. Like I know it's kind of generic to be like, oh my god, the first episode of the series is always going to be a great episode. It gets you hooked in. But for me, like, yeah, it does get you hooked in. Like, it does a good job at introducing characters. Like, I like the introduction for Scott. Obviously, we kind of just jump right into what he's doing. I like the introduction for Styles. I like the introduction for, well, not really Lydia, because as y'all know, I've made this known. Lydia, it was not a favorite of mine in season 1, as I'm sure is the case for a lot of you guys. Jackson had a fine introduction. Allison, of course, had an iconic introduction. Everybody remembers hers. And just overall, it's a good premiere, but it's not great. So for me, I'm gonna put Wolf Moon personally. If you ask me, I'm gonna put it in the B tier. This is where season 1, episode 1 goes. Okay, so I think I feel confident with this ranking. I think I feel comfortable with putting this at B. For season 1, episode 2, this is Second Chance at First Line. Y'all know, if you watch the videos, I notoriously don't like this episode. I don't know why. I just never did. I find myself just not caring as much as I did in the series premiere. I think the episode's extremely mid. Like the plot, like the main crux of this episode is just Scott like going through an internal conflict and struggle of whether or not he wants to take Derek's advice and perform at the lacrosse game or not. That's like the main plot of the episode. In my opinion, it's not interesting. I just find it to be a pretty generic like plot for an episode. It's kind of mid in my opinion. I mean, there are some iconic moments here. Like, of course, you have the whole Styles in the locker room scene at the beginning with him being chased by Scott, and then you have a couple of other scenes that are iconic from this episode as well, that are well known by the fandom. But just for me personally, I didn't think it was that great. I'm gonna put Second Chance at First Line in the C tier, if you ask me. Now, episode 3, on the other hand, Pack Mentality. This episode is better than the series premiere and Second Chance at First Line, personally, if you ask me. Expect me to say personally if you ask me a lot in this video. If you guys are old enough to drink, take a shot every time I say that. But Season 1, episode 3, Pack Mentality. I think it's the best of the first 3 episodes, if you ask me. I like this episode, and the main thing I remember from it, for the most part, is the thing I remember the most is the Scott and Derek fight, right? At the end, when we see this is also the episode we see Derek's werewolf form for the first time, if I remember correctly. I think it is, like when he's fully shifted, which is cool. I think that scene is still holds up to this day. The scene is almost 12 years old. Kind of crazy that Teen Wolf season 1 is 12 years old. God, time's flying by. But yeah, the CGI still looks pretty decent for the time, at least 2011. And then like another one of the most memorable scenes I remember from this episode is the whole dream sequence at the start with Scott and Allison on the bus, and then Allison getting killed by the Alpha. That's another scene that's very memorable too. And then of course this is also the episode, and I can't believe I was forgetting this. This is the episode with the bowling alley stuff, where Scott, Lydia, Allison, and Jackson go on that double date to the bowling alley, and then Allison has that absolutely iconic line, which is well known by everybody who's ever seen the show even once, where she whispers in the Scott's ear, "You can see me naked," and then this man just turns into an absolute like Olympic level bowler or some craziness. Yeah, great episode, love it. I put this in the A tier easily, if you ask me. Definitely best of the first 3. All right, next is season 1, episode 4, Magic Bullet. This is the episode where Kate first comes, and that's the most memorable part of the episode, aside from Derek getting shot with the what was it, Wolf's Bane? Yeah, it was the Wolf's Bane bullet by Kate, and then Scott had to go to the Argents during that awkward family dinner to try and find the cure, in order for Derek not to die, because he was poisoned, obviously. And this is where we start to get the Derek relationship. Like, this is where it really starts in the fandom. Like, it starts in this episode. And in my opinion, I'm not a fan of Steric because of just how, bro, Steric fans are so toxic. Like, they're the reason why, alongside these delusional, out of nowhere, random art and show fans, why Teen Wolf the movie has as much negative press as it does, because people just can't handle the fact that Styles is not the main character, and Teen Wolf will be fine and will do just as well without him, if you ask me. Like, I love Styles just as much as anybody does, but like, I'm not like up in arms, like being like, "Oh my god, I'm boycotting Teen Wolf because he's not in the film," like a lot of other people are. And in my opinion, it's kind of unfair to the movie because, one, no one's seen it. It's not. It doesn't come out for another 20 days. Once it's out, it's fair game. Y'all can have your opinions, but yeah, for this episode was pretty good. I like the Kate interactions with Scott in particular. I think they were very, very good. Jill Wagner's she's a pretty good actress, man. If you ask me. We can also see Scott under control. You can see him kind of controlling his powers. Yeah. When he was trying to reach for the bullet, when it fell in Deaton's um clinic, and it fell in like that really like enclosed space where he couldn't reach his hands, so he had to kind of like be in tune with his werewolf side and kind of just start to control his powers, and he like shifted his claws out and then grabbed it. Yeah, that was a good scene too. Really good scene to showcase the Scott development of course, of like him being a werewolf and stuff. But yeah, and then the ending to this episode with Kate fully on board with hunting the Alpha. Just overall, great episode. Love the Derek and Styles moments. Of course, the most out of like anything else that happens in this episode. So I'm going to wait. In the UK, does the movie come out on the 23rd of or the 26th? I don't know about the UK. I can check at the end of the stream, but I know for US it comes out the 26th. So it might be 23rd for you guys. I know like the UK usually gets stuff first. So you guys might get it before us. So I might have to stay off the internet for a couple of days. Not gonna lie. But yeah, Magic Bullet's gonna go in the A tier if you ask me personally. Next is season 1, episode 5, Tell. This is the episode I mainly remember. So the main thing about this episode, right? I mainly remember this episode for Scott and Allison skipping school and going on the date and the parent-teacher conference stuff, which is pretty much the only like things of relevance and importance that happen in this episode. So yeah, this episode's kind of, I don't want to say it's boring. I want to say it's a good development episode for Scott and Allison's relationship, but I feel like this sort of plot line in this episode where Scott and Allison skip school and they like kind of bond for the whole episode. I feel like that could have been combined with another episode in season 1 to kind of cut the episode short. Because one thing I don't like about the 12 episode structure of Teen Wolf is that I feel like there's 1 or 2 episodes that can be combined into one for an extended episode, and some of the episodes could be cut entirely. Like they don't, I don't want to say they don't matter, but um, I feel like they take I feel like they're filler episodes. That's what I mean to say. Like I feel like some of the episodes are filler. Like I feel like this episode is filler, and I feel like season 1, episode 8 is filler. Like none of the other episodes in season 1 I feel are like that. I feel like every other episode is important to the story, except for episode 5 and episode 8. I don't know why. It's just always been like that for me, but Derek also gets attacked by Kate. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. This is also Derek also gets shot by Kate at his house. This episode, and it's also the episode where Derek's like running through the woods. He was like shirtless, and you can see like his tattoo and stuff. That was a pretty good scene too. I like that because it kind of hinted at the backstory between Derek and Kate for the first time more than episode 4 did. So that was cool. But overall, I'm gonna put this episode. I'm gonna put it in B. I think it's fine. Not the best, not the worst. It's a good episode. The next episode, on the other hand, is Heart Monitor, season 1, episode 6. So this is the episode where Scott is like, okay, I need to find an anchor. I need somebody to help me control my powers. And it's just Scott and Styles pretty much working through that the entire episode for the most part. And then Derek suspects that Deaton is the alpha. And then they all bring him to the school at night for some weird reason. It's because they're trying to bait out the alpha and they're trying to get the alpha to come to the school, in which it actually does. And it like stabs Derek through the back with like its fucking hands or some shit and picks him up literally with one hand, and we are just like, bro, not even 6 episodes in, and they already killing off the main cast, bro. Is Derek actually dead? Because there was literally a pile of blood coughing out in this man's mouth and pouring down his face. I know when I first saw this episode, like 7 years ago or so, I was like, yo, is Derek dead, bro? But nah, obviously the next episode, no, he's not even in night school. Like 2 episodes later, we would obviously see Derek's not dead. But for people back in 2011, I guess they might have thought Derek was dead because it was like 1 episode per week, right? It's not like now where it's streaming where you can binge watch it, but like people who were like in the fandom when it first started, like back in the day, like I'm pretty sure this was like terrifying for those fans. They were like, bro, is Derek like did he really get taken out like that? That's kind of crazy. But yeah, this episode's good in my opinion. The ending is the best part. It's what I remember this episode for. Um, I watched it out. I watched it as it was coming out, and I thought Derek actually died. See, that's what I mean. Like they do such a good job, right? At the end of this episode, um, kind of making it seem to the viewer that Derek is dead because, like, bro, he actually looks like he bit the dust in this episode and he really died. And I don't know how he didn't die, but hey, maybe I can ask Jeff Davis that question or email him and ask him a question about it one of these days. But yeah, I'm gonna put Heart Monitor in the A tier. One of the better episodes. Oh my god, I picked season 2, episode 8. We are not on season 2 yet. Season 1, episode 6. I'm gonna put Heart Monitor in the A tier. I like it more than Magic Bullet, and I like it more than Pack Mentality. Now, this episode, if you guys saw my recent top 10 best Teen Wolf episodes list, you would know exactly where this episode is going. This is, in my opinion, the best episode from Teen Wolf season 1. This is season 1, episode 7, Night School. This episode is going in yes tier. This is one of the best episodes in the entire show. Actually, no. Was this in my honorable mentions for best episodes? I think it was. I don't think it was actually in my top 10. It was in my honorable mentions. But either way, it's still an S tier episode. Best episode from season 1. Most horror-centric episode. Very, very scary. At least when I first saw it, it was. I was like, bro, the Alpha is literally hunting these kids, bro, through the school. And that shit was crazy. Like the scene where I think, is it Allison or is it Lydia in the hallway? I don't know who it is. I think it's Allison. She's in the hallway looking for Scott. And the Alpha is just down the hallway just chilling, right? Like this dude is he's bipedal. He's literally standing up looking creepy as all hell. And oh, it's Jackson. Thank you for clearing that up. It is Jackson. I thought it was Allison or Lydia for some reason. I have to go back and rewatch Teen Wolf for the YouTube reactions, which season 1, episode 2 reactions coming next week. But yeah, thanks for clearing that up, Black Chocolate. Appreciate that. But yeah, it's Jackson. But yeah, the dude is standing up bipedal, right? And he literally crawls down on all fours, and it's creepy as hell. I'm like, bro, that's probably one of the scariest shots, if not the scariest one from the entirety of the first season. Like that shot is crazy scary, bro. Not gonna lie. So yeah, and then of course the big thing this episode, Allison breaks up with Scott at the end because she is starting to pick up. She pretty much activates her bullshit detector, and she's like, "Oh my god, Scott, why do you keep lying to me?" She pretty much sees right through Scott and figures and knows immediately that everything he's been telling her is a lie. Which, in my opinion, it's not toxic. Like I'm completely on Allison's side on this one. Granted, I'm on Scott's side too because I can understand. Like, bro, you're a werewolf. Like, how do you just tell that to your girlfriend and then have her, one, not laugh at you, two, even take you seriously after that? You're probably gonna look like a goofball. So I understand both sides. And for Allison, I'd be like, people are so toxic in this fandom sometimes. Like they're like, Scallison was so toxic. I'm like, y'all don't even completely understand their relationship. It was not toxic. Like every reason that they broke up was for a legit cause. Like season 1, Allison was like, bro, I'm tired of you lying to me, Scott. But then again, Scott kind of had to lie to her to keep her safe. So you really understand that. Then in season 2, episode 1, we see the flashback, of course, of Argent literally pulling out a gun and having Scott at gunpoint and forcing Allison to stay away from Scott for the most part. So that was kind of out of their control entirely. Then when they break up for the final time at the end of season 2, it's for very, very understandable reasons that make 100% sense, which is why I've been saying the most well-written out of all the relationships Scott had, the best and most well-written one was Scallison. Like Skira was boring, and then Scalia was just made because they wanted to give Scott a girlfriend before the series ended. Like, bro, like what? Anyway, Night School S tier. Next episode, Lunatic. Not a fan of this episode at all. This episode really, really made me very frustrated at Scott for a lot of reasons. This is the episode where my opinion on Scott being a bad friend really started. And I stand by that till this day. Like, it gets worse throughout the series, especially in season 5, part 1, where I think it hits the absolute rock bottom. But I'm like, bro, Scott, man, like, I was really starting to root for you, especially, after episode 6 and 7. Then you just kind of throw it all away a little bit by being an absolute ass to Styles. Like, why would you make out with Lydia, bro? And I don't think he's ever apologized to Styles for it in a meaningful way, even now, till Teen Wolf the movie. I don't think he's ever apologized for that. So, yeah, and I mean, we all know why Scott was acting that way, right? It was because Scott was under the influence of the full moon, right? It was his second full moon, but still, bro, like, if the influence of the full moon is pulling all of that out of you, that goes to show you what kind of person Scott actually is. And then season 5 kind of cemented that when this man out of nowhere, with all the character development he got in season 3 and especially season 4, just trusts some kid he barely knows, who he hasn't seen since he was like 9 or 10, with Theo, over his best friend who he's literally gone through literal assassins trying to kill them months prior to season 5. Like, bro, Scott is a bad friend, and I stand by that. And I'm not the only one in the fandom, and especially on YouTube, Teen Wolf, who thinks this. Because even Croheezy was the first one to bring this up. He said it himself. He's like, bro, Scott is a terrible friend to Styles. And I'm like, I 100% agree. He's a bad friend. I might make a video on that as well. But yeah, season 1, episode 8, Lunatic, C tier, mid episode. Now, the next episode, season 1, episode 9, the Peter reveal. The biggest part of this episode, Peter being revealed as the Alpha. I'm going to put this episode in the A tier primarily because Ian Bohan is the GOAT and he absolutely stole the show. This episode, I would say not a lot happens that's memorable in this episode until we get to the Peter reveal alongside his nurse being his co-culprit in the murders the Alpha has been committing throughout all of season 1, right? So, yeah, this episode best known for being the episode we find out the real identity of the Alpha. And if anybody has seen any type of show like this, you could have picked Peter from a mile away being the Alpha. I remember when I first watched Teen Wolf back in 2015, 2016, I was like, I wonder how many people actually thought the Alpha was Peter back in the day. Like, like, it's obvious it's Peter, right? Because we only know about 3 werewolves in the season. We know Scott's one, we know Derek is a werewolf, and then we already meet Peter in episode 4 when Kate comes. So the obvious logical choice is that Peter is probably the Alpha. And when it got revealed, I was like, okay, I mean, I could have kind of seen that coming, but it is what it is. It's still a cool reveal, though. Still iconic. So yeah, definitely put this episode in the A tier. We also get hints that the teacher is somehow connected to the Alpha. Yeah, he was connected with Kate with the arson, the fires and stuff. I loved how Derek tells Styles that he's the Alpha. I don't remember that line. We also get the class. Oh yeah, this is when Danny comes to Styles' house, and Derek wears that stupid ass bright orange and blue shirt, and then we get the my cousin Miguel meme, bro. That meme is so iconic. They literally brought it back for season 4, and it was just as funny in season 4 as it was in season 1. That's another iconic scene from Teen Wolf that every Teen Wolf fan knows by heart. So yeah, Wolfsbane, A tier. All right, we're almost done with season 1. Only got 3 more episodes. Next episode is Co-Captain, season 1, episode 10. I'm going to put this episode in the B tier. I think this episode is... I don't really remember much this episode. The only thing I remember of significance that's like at least memorable. Don't you remember Styles? Get out of there. He's the alpha. Oh, that's what you were trying to say. I was like, huh? What? It was confusing for me. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is the episode where Allison finds out that about werewolves existing way before she finds out about Scott. So yeah, that's like the thing I remember this episode for the most, the ending. And then the beginning when Scott meets Peter for the first time, like post us finding out he's the alpha, with Derek in the locker room of the high school, and then him showing Scott the memories of what happened during the Hell House fire, and we got context on that finally. We saw a couple of glimpses, and then we also saw a glimpse of Laura Hale while she was alive for the first time, and like a blink or you'll miss it scene. And we saw her being let out into the woods, and then of course Peter killing her, and then the Argents coming and cutting her in half, which was confirmed by Kate that the Argents were the ones who cut Kate in half, obviously because that's like what they're known for, as Gerard would make pretty apparent in season 2, episode 1. But yeah, I think season 1, episode 10 is B tier. I don't know why I can't remember anything else from this episode aside from like the opening and the end. Like those are like the two like standout parts that come to mind first for me. So yeah, why am I saying number? Next episode, season 1, episode 11, Formality. I'm gonna put this episode at the top of the A tier. Or do I like Heart Monitor more than Formality? Yeah, I think I do. So this episode is the episode when the formal takes place, right? It's also the episode where Lydia gets bit by Peter, I'm pretty sure. Or is that the finale? No, I think Lydia gets bit by Peter in this episode. I don't think it's the finale. Basically, a lot of crazy stuff happens this episode. That's pretty insane for the first season. Allison finds out Scott's a werewolf at the end when Argent and one of his hunters try to kill him by trying to crush him with both of their cars, and Scott has to like make a split-second decision on what he wants to do. In my opinion, he could have like got down and slid under the bus and like rolled under to the other side, but I guess that would be kind of impractical. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that plan wouldn't have worked, but it's something he could have thought of. But yeah, the werewolf reveal of Scott being a werewolf to Allison is absolutely iconic. One of the most memorable scenes from season 1. Oh yeah, this is also the episode when Scott asked Danny to dance on the floor, and Coach is like, "What the hell?" He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Because he thought, bro, he was like, "Are y'all gay, bro?" Bro, that scene was hilarious, and then everybody in the gym just like awkwardly stopped and started staring. It was funny as hell, and he was like, "Continue dancing, everybody. Go on, go on. Nothing to see here." Yeah, Coach is hilarious. I love the Coach. By the way, the actor for Coach, he commented on one of my videos, and that was one of the best things to ever happen in 2022. I was like, bro, Coach knows who I am. Like, that's crazy. That's wild. So yeah, the actor for Coach watches the channel. That's pretty cool. But yeah, season 1, episode 11, A tier. Next is the finale. Finally, we're at the end of season 1. This is season 1, episode 1, Code Breaker, and I'm gonna put this episode at the Which video? It was the video where it was the Orny Adams video from last year, like back when Teen Wolf the movie started filming. It was the one where I had posted the video where he was returning to set for the first time. It was that video. That's the one he commented under. And if you don't think it's actually him, you can go on you can click that channel. It's the Orny Adams YouTube channel, bro. Like, it's legit. It's even connected with his actual officially verified Instagram. So it was actually him, which was crazy. But yeah, Code Breaker I'm gonna put here. Nah. I'm gonna put it here. I think the finale was very disappointing. Yes, Wolfpack series. It was the video I posted, the one where he came out the card. That was the one he commented on. You can go in the comment section of that video and see his comment. It's still there. And he just left a comment on that video not too long ago. I think it was like last month or November when he commented. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, this finale was disappointing. And I the reason why I put it so low is for one thing in particular. The way they took out Alpha Peter was an absolute disgrace. The fact that Scott didn't even take him out, Derek wasn't the one to do it. Not even the Argents were the ones to take him out. The ones who did all the work were Styles and Jackson, bro. You're telling me all this buildup, the Alpha is some crazy strong werewolf, right? And all it takes is two humans pulling up, coming out of their car and being like, hey, over here, and throwing some makeshift Molotov cocktails at this thing. And then Scott being like, Allison, and then she shoots an arrow while he's still holding it in his hand, looking at her, mind you, like an absolute idiot, and then literally gets set on fire. Like, all Peter had to do was drop it. Like, he looked at it for a good, like, couple of seconds and knew exactly what it was. He should have just dropped it and just killed everyone there. Because it was made quite clear, especially during his little fight with Scott and Derek, which was pretty awesome, by the way. That's what keeps this episode afloat. That fight was pretty cool. Inside the burnt down Hell House after Peter kills Kate. That fight was pretty sick. But like, dude, like the way the Alpha, like Jeff couldn't have written a better way for Alpha Peter to go out. Like, he went out quite honestly like a bitch. I'm not gonna lie, it was really bad. It was terrible. I don't like it. I still don't like it till this day. And it really, really hurt the finale, in my opinion, because all that build up for how strong Alpha Peter was, and he just got taken out in one of the bro. They had a harder time dealing with the Alpha Pack and Deucalion than Alpha Peter. Like, that's embarrassing. So, yeah, really hurt the episode for me. But there are some good scenes in here. The scene where Allison and Scott make up, where she embraces him being a werewolf, is a beautiful scene. The scene where Derek makes up his mind, or has already made up his mind, as Peter says, and Peter's out of commission, burned up, and Derek slashes his throat open and becomes an alpha, is an iconic scene where Derek's like, I'm the alpha now. Badass scene from Derek. The moment with Styles and Peter, which is like the first time we really see the Peter and Styles relationship. Like, that's where it starts, in my opinion, in this episode. And we would kind of see it fully fleshed out in season 6, but that's a long while from now. We're still in season 1. This is where that starts too. All those scenes were fire as well. The funniest scene in this whole episode is when Peter's like access the computer, and then Styles types in Scott's username and password, and he's like, his username is Allison. His password is also Allison. And then Styles comes back at him with an absolutely goated line. He's like, well, you wanted him as part of your pack. And then Peter rolls his eyes. I love that scene so much. That's my favorite scene from this whole episode. It's funny. It's still funny on rewatch to this day. But yeah, that's where the finale goes. Also, I think the ending was very, very mid with just Scott and Allison on the roof, just looking up at the full moon. Like, it was okay. Not the best finale, not the worst. Gonna sit in the A tier. All right, so that's season 1 done for me. That's my personal opinion on season 1. So we can go through season 1 real quick before we go to season 2 and rank all the episodes in order in each individual tier. So Night School is definitely still staying in S. That's not changing. I think I'm gonna put Heart Monitor as my second favorite episode in season 1. Then it's going to be Formality. Which is better, Pack Mentality or Wolfsbane? I think I'm gonna put Pack Mentality over just because it's more memorable than Wolfsbane for me. Then I'm going to put Wolfsbane. I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna put Magic Bullet over Codebreaker just because I enjoy it more. Then I'm going to put Wolf Moon at the top of B for now. Then would be season 1, episode 10. Then Tell would be at the bottom. Actually, I think I'm going to put Tell in C tier. Yeah, I'm going to knock it down to C. Okay, second chance at first line versus. Okay, I think this is where I want them. Yeah, Lunatic is my least favorite episode in season 1. I don't like that episode at all. It's below average. So that's season 1 laid out, at least in my opinion. This is my opinion. So you guys, your episodes might change or might be entirely different from mine. That's cool. If you agree, cool. If you disagree, cool. Of course, we can talk about it like we have been. And you guys are obviously going to continue sharing your thoughts in the chat. So let's move on to season 2. All right, so we have season 2, episode 1, Omega. This is the episode where Gerard first comes. I'm going to put this episode in the B tier. I think it's fine. I think it's on the level of the series premiere in terms of like how good it is. Oh my god, I can't talk. But I'm gonna put it above the series premiere because I do think that Omega is a better season premiere than Wolf Moon. This is also the episode where we get the iconic "We Kill Them All" moment from Gerard, which is one of my all-time favorite Teen Wolf moments ever. Because it's just such a great scene from Michael Hogan, the actor who plays Gerard. He's in a bunch of other things too. I've seen him in a bunch of other things recently, and I'm like, oh my god, they got Gerard in this like TV show or movie. So yeah, it's pretty cool seeing him in other stuff. But yeah, I like this episode. The main two things right that go on in it are Kate's funeral and finding Lydia because she went missing. And then there's also another scene I love, which is when Lydia is found and Styles sees Lydia and he's like, Lydia, Lydia, and then Lydia just is naked. She just like removes her arms from her chest, and then Styles is like, oh my god, I think I just saw heaven. Like that shit's funny as hell. So yeah, good premiere, not the best episode in season 2, but it was a good episode to start off the season. Season 2, episode 2, Shapeshifted. I'm gonna put this episode in the A tier. I like it more than Codebreaker. I like it more than Magic Bullet. I like it more than Wolfsbane. I think I'm gonna put it right here. So season 2, episode 2 goes for me. Season 2, episode 2, of course, is the episode where we see the Kanema for the first time, which is cool. This is also the episode where, oh, I forgot to mention, season 2, episode 1 is also where we get Isaac Leahy for the first time too. How could I forget about him? He's my second favorite Teen Wolf character. But yeah, season 2, episode 2 is where we see the Kanema for the first time on screen. We get the absolutely legendary scene at the beginning with Daniel Sharman and his father, where we get to see just how much of a jerk Isaac's dad is and how much he deserved to bite the dust, which he does moments later to the Kanema in a very, very stylistic scene, and a scene I still like a lot on rewatch. I like the way I like the scene where he dies. It's very stylistic the way they chose to film it. And this is the episode where pretty much everybody's trying to figure out who killed Isaac's dad and what's going on and what is in Isaac's house, because Isaac is like, there's something in the house. I can't go back there. And let alone we find out it's the Kanema Jackson, who Scott and Allison get freaked out by. They see it and they're like, what the hell is that? So yeah, pretty good episode. Season 2, episode 2, shapeshifted in the A tier. Now, episode 3, in my opinion, Ice Pick. This episode is going to go in the S tier, in my opinion. I love this episode. And this episode has, in my opinion, one of the most iconic Teen Wolf songs. It's not from Teen Wolf, but I know it from the show, so I'm going to say it's from Teen Wolf, even though it's not. But it has one of the most iconic uses of a song in the entire show when Scott and Derek are fighting on the ice skating rink, right? And the music just kicks in as Derek is transforming into his alpha form, about to beat the holy hell out of Scott. And it's just such a good scene. Like, the CGI is really good. And the way Derek just looks very intimidating and just looks like a complete beast of a man while he's walking towards Scott. And I like how Scott holds his own, like he's not afraid of Derek, because Scott never really wanted to fight Derek in the first place, right? He's trying to get Derek and everybody to work together to solve this whole Kanema thing and ban against the Argents, well, at least Gerard and stuff. And this is also the episode where we see Boyd and Erica become werewolves as well. It's also the first appearance of Boyd and Erica too, which is cool. Erica, I'm not really big on as a character, but I really did like Boyd. I was very upset when he bit the dust in season 3, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, season 2, episode 3, Ice Pick in the S tier, in my opinion. Love this episode. Great episode to always go back and rewatch, especially for that Scott and Derek fight at the end at the ice skating rink. All right, season 2, episode 4, Abomination. This episode is gonna go in the A tier. I think I'm gonna put this episode up here. It goes in the A tier solely because of the ending, in my opinion, and the beginning, which are the two most memorable parts of this episode. Now, in the beginning, of course, we get the scene where Styles is trying to fix his Jeep at the mechanic's place, and we see the Kanema kill its next victim, and that's an absolutely frightening scene because you just see Styles helpless as he's, dealing with, having the Kanema venom inside of him, and he can't really do anything about it. So, yeah. And then the ending is just masterfully done with Gerard having his BS detector on, like Allison, and seeing right through Scott, stabbing Scott in the open where anybody can just walk up and see it, and then threatening him right before his mom comes out and she's like, Scott, are you okay? In the last couple of scenes in this episode, you just see blood dripping from Scott's stomach into a puddle of blood on the floor concrete outside of the hospital. Just a masterful ending to an episode. Absolute god tier moment from Gerard. And yeah, that's how I feel. I think this episode is definitely A tier. Episode 5, Venomous. I'm gonna put this episode in the B tier. I'm gonna put it at the top. This is the episode where we finally figure out who the Kanema is. It's the episode where we figure out by the end that Jackson is the Kanema. It's also the main plot of this episode is Derek's pack thinking that Lydia is the Kanema and them trying to hunt down Lydia the whole episode. It's fine. I like the whole plot of them trying to hunt down Lydia. I think it was okay. It gave us some pretty good scenes of Scott and Erica, and then of course Erica and Allison being pissed that Erica's trying to move in on her man, but Allison not being intimidated because she trusts Scott and she knows that Scott is not gullible enough to let another female take him away from Allison, take him away from her. Allison had a lot of faith in Scott, which is a sign of a good girlfriend. If your girlfriend is not afraid of like other girls coming on to you because she trusts and knows, like she knows you and she knows that you're not gonna like pick them over her, that's a good girlfriend and she's a keeper, which Allison definitely is in my opinion. And the ending it's okay. Like we figure out that the Kanema is working with someone else, the Kanema Master. We don't know who it is yet. And one thing I do have to say about season 2, they did a really good job, in my opinion. And I think this is even like the Peter reveal in season 1. Anybody could have guessed that and got it right from episode 4, in my opinion. But I have to give Jeff Davis his credit here. He did a fantastic job keeping secret just who the Kanema Master is. Now, I'm pretty sure some people picked on that it was probably Matt because he was the one character who was always just there, but I don't know, he was just weird. Like he was out of place. So I guess a couple of people might have picked that it was Matt, but I didn't know it was Matt when I first watched, which is a credit to the writing in this episode, in this season. So props to them. But episode 5 in B tier. Season 2, episode 6, Frenemy. I'm going to put this episode at the top of the A tier, an absolutely goated episode. I mainly remember this episode for them capturing Jackson, keeping him locked in the police van that they stole, and then the beginning with the fight with Derek and the Kanema, which is, of course, one of the best and most iconic fights in all of Teen Wolf. This episode's really good. Really good for a lot of reasons, because you get to see Jackson at his most vulnerable for the first time ever in the show. Like, you get to see that Jackson is not this just tough kid, this bully who's a jerk. You get to see that there's deeper layers to Jackson's character, and he's not just a one-dimensional, typical bully you would see in these typical teen Twilight-like TV shows. Like, Jackson's really deep as a character. I want to say he's the deepest character, but he has some layers under him, and he's not just one note, right? So that's cool. This is also the episode where Allison is like all in on the relationship with her and Scott. And she's like, I don't want to be with you just past high school, not even college. She's like, I'm with you for life. And I remember I was completely on board. I was like, Scott, you better not mess this up, man. You got to keep her, bro. She was not intimidated by Erica at all whatsoever. She knew her man was fine. And she said she want to be with you even into adulthood in the future. Bro, don't mess it up, bro. Please don't. Which, unfortunately, due to certain events, that relationship eventually got messed up. But it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm going to put Heart Monitor. Frenemy in the A tier. Next episode is Restraint. season 2, episode 7. This episode is going in the S tier. Love this episode. This is the episode that the main thing I remember from this episode is Jackson going crazy in the library during Scott and the whole gang's detention, and the fight between Scott and Jackson in the locker room when Scott walks in on Jackson and he's naked, and Scott thinks that Jackson is trying to hit on Allison and trying to do certain things, and they get into that very, very good fight. And Jackson shows off his Kanema strength in human form, which is cool. But yeah, this episode is also the reveal of Lydia having a connection to crap. I don't know why I just forgot his name. Peter. It was kind of played up the whole season. Like, we kind of knew that Lydia had a connection to. We didn't know it was Peter, but this one kid for some weird reason. But in this episode, you find out that kid she's been having a connection with is Peter, a younger version of him, of course, teenage Peter. And in my opinion, I always thought it was because Peter bit her, and I think that is the case, which is cool. And we can kind of tell that Peter's manipulating Lydia, and we can kind of tell he's trying to get her to bring him back somehow. How he comes back, that's for 2 episodes from now. So Restraint is in the S tier. Raving, I notoriously don't like this episode. The main thing I remember is Allison's mom getting bit. That's like the biggest thing that happened in this episode. And this is also the episode where Scott and Allison's relationship starts to become really rocky for the first time, like ever. Like, it was never this rocky in season 1. Like, this is the first time it starts to become rocky because Allison's kind of caught in the middle between whether or not she wants to live up to her family's legacy and make her parents proud of her family, or she wants to betray everything her family stands for and be with Scott and help him out. So she's kind of in a middle ground and caught between 2 different sides, which is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a good little plot development for Allison. It's a good struggle for her to work through. But she does do some things where it's kind of like, really, Allison? Like, Scott already told you what was happening. Like, why would you go and mess that up? So you can't really defend her on that front. But I do understand why the whole relationship started getting rocky in the first place. It's because miscommunication and Allison being conflicted, which are both understandable reasons. So for that, it doesn't really hold up the episode all too well. But yes, Allison's mom trying to kill Scott, that whole plot line really killed this episode for me and still hurts it for me till this day. So I'm going to put this. Actually, I think I'm going to put this in D tier, if you ask me. I was not a fan of this episode at all. Next episode is Party Guest, an episode I used to notoriously hate as well, alongside season 2, episode 8, but I actually have grown to really like this episode a lot over the last couple of years. I think I'm going to put this episode in the B tier. This is the episode where Allison's mom dies. That's the biggest thing that happens this episode. And this is also the episode where Matt is revealed to be the Kanema Master. And this is also the episode where Lydia is poisoning everybody with the Wolfsbane in the drinks at her party. And we get some crazy hallucinations. Like, we get an Allison internal struggle hallucination where she sees like an evil huntress version of herself, like killing her. Then we see the little hallucination of Styles' dad in a drunk rage, like getting mad at Styles, blaming him for his mother's death. That's a really emotional and sad scene that kind of gets me, not emotional, but it gets me every time I see it because it's a rough scene to watch. And then probably the weirdest hallucination was Scott's, where we saw like the Kanema in full Kanema makeup making out with Allison. That shit was just disgusting and weird. And of course, it's like Scott hallucinating Jackson stealing Allison from him. It was still a weird way they had it, though. And also, the big thing that happens in this episode is that Peter is revived from the dead, which is cool. So, yeah, Peter comes back this episode. Allison's mom dies. We get one of the best, in my opinion, acting performances from Crystal Reed in the entire show. When she finds out Allison's mom, oh my god, when she finds out her mom died, that scene where she breaks down and goes through literally all the 5 stages of grief in that short amount of time is one of the best Crystal Reed performances in all of Teen Wolf, and I think of her career in general. And I think that might be the best acting performance from Crystal Reed in this episode of like her entire time on the show. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, episode 9 goes in the B tier. Now episode 10, Fury, is in the S tier. I'm not going to talk about this episode much. I've talked about this episode extensively on the channel numerous times. This is the best episode in season 2, in my opinion. This is a masterpiece of an episode. One of the best well-written episodes, and one of the best episodes of not only season 2 but the entire series as a whole. Extremely underrated episode. Never hear anyone talk about this episode nearly enough. But I'm going to continue giving this episode its shine. And yeah, this is where it goes, in my opinion. S tier for sure. Unquestionably. Season 2, episode 11, Battlefield. Gonna give this episode C. I'll put it down here. This episode is okay. Not a lot goes on. Biggest thing is that Jackson kills himself on the battlefield. Or not, oh my god. Battlefield. The lacrosse field. And he starts the evolution process to transform into the Alpha Kanema shape, or the evolved Kanema, which we didn't know about till the next episode. We had no clue why Jackson did that. Maybe he was like, at first, like if you were watching this episode live, or like you were watching this episode for the first time and had never seen the show, maybe you were thinking in your head like me, right? Like Jackson killed himself so that he can prevent himself from like harming anybody by being taken over by, you know, his Kanema side, which was a good theory at the time. But yeah, that's obviously not why he did it. And I think this is the episode where Allison has that iconic scene where she's chasing down Boyd and Erica and captures both of them. And this is the season 2 episode 10 started this, but season 2 episode 11 is where it cemented it. Allison becoming absolutely ruthless and falling under the complete influence of Gerard, which was very, very bad. Not bad in the sense that it was a terrible thing, but like bad for like all the characters at the time. So yeah, there's that. Next episode, the final episode of season 2. This is season 2, episode 12, Master Plan. And I do think that this episode is better than the season 1 finale. I'm going to put this episode, I think I'm going to put it underneath Heart Monitor. B tier? All right, what do you guys want? You think this is a B tier episode? I don't know. I feel like personally for me, I enjoyed this episode more than others. But yeah, I can see it being in the B tier. B tier? Is this a B tier episode? Let me know. Isaac says it's a B tier episode. For everybody else who's in the stream, is Master Plan good enough to be an A, or should it be in the B tier? Let me know. Because if you guys all pick B, I think it's going to convince me to put it in the B tier. But if not, I'm going to keep it in A. B tier? B tier? Okay. All right. So I think I'll put it. think I'll put it right here. Yeah, I think that's where it goes. Uh, no, I like it more than these two. I'm not putting it that low. Yeah, that's where Master Plan goes. So this is obviously the episode where everything comes to a close with the whole Kanema storyline. Jackson gets healed, becomes a hybrid. Gerard gets bit, and Scott comes up with arguably the smartest plan he's come up with in the entirety of the series. In my opinion, it was a really good plan on his part, which goes to show you how smart Scott actually is when he puts his mind to things. And yeah, other than that, nothing big happens. It's just a showdown with the Kanema and Gerard, and that's it. And I think that the showdown with the Kanema was handled way better than the showdown with Peter personally. But as a whole, I think that this finale could have been better, in my opinion, if you personally ask me. I enjoy the season one finale more slightly for the iconic moments and nostalgia, but the season two finale falls short for me for a few reasons, some of which I already mentioned. So, yeah. Yeah, and this is also the episode where the Alpha Pack took Boyd and Erica as well. Yeah, you're right. And that's season two. So we're gonna go through and rank season two real quick. So Fury staying in the S tier. Ice Pick is staying in the S tier. Restraint is also staying in S tier. So that's established. I think I'm gonna keep Frenemy in the top of A. Abomination, I think is gonna stay here. I think I will put Shapeshifted over Pack Mentality. Then Master Plan is gonna stay at the top of B. And then I think this is where the rest of it goes. And then, yeah, I think that's it for season two. All right, so that's Teen Wolf season two. On to Teen Wolf season three, part one. A lot of people's favorite Teen Wolf season, so this is sure to be a fun portion of this stream. Crap, we've already been here for an hour and 12 minutes, and we're just now getting to season three. I'm gonna try to get through these faster, guys. I'm sorry. It's just that like these are so hard to rank because like it's not just like a per season thing; it's every episode in the show. So it's really hard to rank for me. I apologize, guys. Um, Season 3, episode 1, Tattoo, the premiere. I'm gonna put this episode in the A tier. I really like this episode. I think this is the best premiere of all the premieres we've gotten so far, at least that we've covered. Absolutely iconic premiere. Scott getting his unforgettable and iconic double armband tattoo, which I have. I would show you guys if I was on camera, but you guys, some of you guys have seen it before because I have the Scott tattoo tattooed on my right muscle. And actually, fun fact, I've had the Scott tattoo for almost 2 years. I got it for my 18th birthday 2 years ago in 2021. So yeah, that was pretty cool. S tier, it belongs in S tier. Okay, I can see this episode making a case for S tier. I do enjoy it more than these episodes. Do I think it's better than Night School? Hmm. Um, I'm gonna ask you guys. Do you guys think that Tattoo is better than Night School? If not, I'm gonna leave it below. But if you guys think it is, I'm gonna put it above Night School, but keep it below Fury because this episode's not as good as Fury. Way better. Okay. All right. Before Night School. Okay. So Jonathan Cruz says Night School is a better episode than Tattoo, but Wolfpack series says Tattoo is a better episode than Night School. So we kind of have we're kind of conflicted here. I'm gonna let more people comment and give their opinion before I make a definitive placement. So I'm gonna ask one more time. for anybody who missed. So right now we're currently ranking season 3, episode 1, and it's in the S tier. Do you guys think that season 3, episode 1 is better than Night School, or do you think that Night School is better than Tattoo? Let me know. Last go around before I make my final choice. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, I'm putting it over Night School. Personally, for me, I enjoy this episode way more than Night School. It has a much more fun vibe. Tattoo is better. Okay. All right. So more people. I mean, the episode 1 is more iconic. Yeah, it is. But yeah, right. As I was saying before, Tattoo is the episode where Scott gets his tattoo. That's one of the biggest moments of not only this episode but the whole show, because of course, as everybody knows, that would go on to be the symbol for his McCall pack. This is also the episode where we see the Alpha pack for the first time. Deucalion, the Alpha twins, Kali, Ennis. We also have that really cool fight between Ennis, Scott, and then like Derek at the last second in the elevator of the Beacon Hills General Hospital. So that's pretty cool. And then we just have bro, like Dylan O'Brien just came in this season already on fire from the very beginning of the episode with absolutely funny and iconic lines. Like he cut like from the scene where we see Scott get his tattoo, right? We see him just be an absolute god tier comedian, bro. Like we get some iconic scenes where Scott's tattoo heals, right? And Styles is like, oh God, I hated it anyway. Like it's just stuff like that where it just makes this episode what it is. And then one of the funniest scenes in the entire show for me is when Scott and Styles conveniently are stopped at a stoplight right next to Allison and Lydia, and they're both in their separate cars, right? And Styles is telling Scott to talk to Allison, and Lydia is telling Allison to talk to Scott. And Styles goes over Scott and pulls down the window anyway, and he's like, "Hi, hi." He's like, "Hi, hi, hey!" Like, bro, that fucking scene is so funny, and it's still funny every time I rewatch this episode. It's I don't know. If I meet Dylan O'Brien one day, or I'm gonna put it in the universe when I meet Dylan O'Brien one day, I gotta ask him if that scene was improvised or was it always part of the script, because it felt like a scene that was improvised from him. I don't know if it was, but if it was absolute comedy gold. Not going to lie. So yeah, Tattoo is definitely in the S tier. The next episode is, of course, season 3, episode 2, Chaos Rising. This is where we get the ice tub stuff with Isaac, and he's trying to figure out where the headquarters of the Alpha Pack is and where they're keeping Boyd and Erica, because like the whole like main plot of the first 3 episodes, right, was trying to get Boyd and Erica back from the Alpha Pack. That was like the big overarching story for the first 3 episodes of season 3. And this is the episode where all the crazy stuff happens at the bank, the Beacon Hills First National, where we get introduced to Cora as well, which was awesome. Because it was cool finding out that Derek had another sibling now still alive. We didn't know Derek had any other siblings still alive, which was cool. I think it might have been mentioned before, but this was like the first like on-screen confirmation of it, in my opinion. So yeah, I really like this episode. I don't think it's better than anything in A tier, but I do think it's a great episode in season 3. So I'm gonna put Chaos Rising at the top of B. I really, really do like this episode. Fireflies is going at shoot. I think Fireflies for me is either an A tier, is either at the very top of A or bottom of the S tier. You guys gotta let me know. Where do you guys rank Firefly? Would you say it's in the top of A or the bottom of S tier? Because I absolutely love this episode. Where would you guys rank this? Let me know. Because I'm in my opinion, I'm borderline putting this at the bottom of the S. Simply because of the absolutely phenomenal scene of Derek just embracing the fact that he failed as a leader of, his own alpha pack and is just okay with dying in order to protect everyone else. And just pretty much letting Boyd and Cora just do whatever they want to him and damn near kill him, which was a fantastic development scene for Derek. And in my opinion, I would honestly say this is the most iconic Derek moment to me. So yeah, it comes from this episode. Top of the A tier, bottom of S. Okay. So in my opinion, I'm borderline I think I'm gonna put it at the bottom of S. Personally, for me, I really enjoyed this episode. This episode was a very, very good episode from beginning to end. From the opening scene to the ending. Bottom of D. You're wild, bro. No way. This episode is not D tier. You're out of pocket. There's no way. There's no way this episode is bottom of S. I was about to say, I'm like, this episode is nowhere close to the quality of how bad season 2, episode 8 is. No way. Yeah, bottom of S. Next episode, season 3, episode 4, Unleashed. This is the episode where we have the absolutely iconic Deucalion Demon Wolf speech to Derek, and the scene where the Alpha Pack just came. The Alpha Pack came and just ran through him in his loft, which was an awesome moment in my opinion. And it's better than all of these in my opinion. I think Deucalion steals the show. I don't think it's good enough to justify being in the S tier. I'm going to put season 3, episode 4, Unleashed, at the top of the A tier for now. But we can go back at the end and rank all of the season 3 episodes like we did with season 1 and 2 in the individual tiers, of course. The next episode, in my opinion, is arguably the weakest. It's between this episode and season 3, episode 11. This, in my opinion, Frayed, season 3, episode 5, is the weakest episode in terms of I can't really tell where everything season 2 and earlier on are ranked. So the easiest way to tell, I have all the episodes labeled. So you have season 2, like you see here how it says 2x10, it says 1x7. Like the 2 at the beginning means season 2, the 1 at the beginning of here means season 2, and then the 3 means season 3. So yeah, you can tell by looking at the numbers. But yeah, season 3, episode 5. I think I'm gonna put this episode in B tier. I don't think any episode in season 3, part 1 is lower than B tier. But this is definitely one of the weaker episodes of season 3 for sure. I'm going to put this episode probably. I think I'm going to put this below Venomous, season 2, episode 5. The next episode, I'm not even going to cover for more than like a second. Everybody knows where Motel California goes. The entire fandom loves this episode to death, and it's been talked about. What happened in the episode? Oh, my bad. I completely forgot to go over what happened. Let me mute my Discord real quick because it's making a whole bunch of noise. I'm going to mute it. All right. My apologies. Just had to mute my Discord server. So, right, in season 3, episode 5, it's the episode where they're heading towards the cross-country game. And it's the episode where Scott is like, oh my God, Derek is dead, right? And they're on the bus. And Scott got hurt by one of the alphas, and he's not healing because he's having trouble processing Derek's quote-unquote death, even though Derek's not dead. But none of the characters obviously know that. And we get flashbacks to Scott and Derek's pack fighting the Alpha Pack in the abandoned mall. And this is the episode. Oh, yeah, this is also the episode where Ennis dies. This is the episode where Deucalion kills Ennis. And also the episode where Allison has that absolutely fantastic scene where she's trying to help patch up Scott, and then like a hallucination of her mom is like right next to her, and she's kind of pressuring her to be better and not be such like a little girl and be a woman. So yeah, great scene with that. This is also the very first tease of Scott being a true alpha as well. So this is a very important episode for that too. Actually, now that I mention it, just because this episode had those moments, I think I'm actually going to put it higher, if you ask me. Oh yeah, and then you can't talk about this episode without all the absolutely iconic stylist moments that take place in this episode as well, including the Jared moment, which is one of the best style scenes of all time. So actually, I'm going to bump this episode up to the A tier. I'm going to bump it up right here. I think that's where it goes for now. We can go back and rank it, obviously. But yeah, as I was saying, only going to talk about this episode for like 5 seconds. Motel California, top of the S. Everyone in the fandom loves this episode to death. Like, I've been in so many forums where so many people have made like numerous paragraphs and they have literal debates and discussions on why Motel California is the best episode in the series. But I think it's gotten to a point where I think this episode is extremely overrated now. And there's an episode later on in season 5 which I think is even better than Motel California. And in my opinion, I think it's better than this episode as a whole, and it's the best episode in the entire show. And mind you, that episode will be the highest rated episode in this tier. So, top of S. Yeah, I would say it's top of S. I love Motel California. It's a great episode. Absolutely, it's probably one of the darkest episodes in the show too. Thematically, it's very, very dark, and it's the only episode in the show where they literally have a warning at the beginning, for some of the scenes that you'll see in the episode itself. So if an episode's giving you a warning at the beginning for the themes that are going to be present in the episode, you know it's going to be dark. The next episode is Currents, season 3, episode 7. This is the episode where Boyd is killed by the Alpha Pack, and we figure out. So the two biggest things that happen in this episode is Boyd is killed by Derek, but not Derek at the same time. Like the Alpha Pack or really Kali forces Derek to kill Boyd. And then we find out what a true alpha is in detail for the first time. Like, Deaton tells Scott that he's a true alpha, and we see Scott shift his eyes to red again. And yeah, we pretty much find out what a true alpha is for the first time in the show. So personally, I like this episode, but I'm gonna put it in the B tier. Although its story significance is really, really high because this is the episode where Boyd dies, and it's the one, like, the thing that happens where Derek is kind of like, yeah, I'm just done being an alpha, and it's what made him really give up his alpha spark when trying to save Cora. He realized that, like, he just failed. Like, he didn't have Isaac anymore at that time because he had kicked Isaac out of the pack, essentially. And then, like, Erica was dead, and, like, Boyd was he obviously died. So yeah, and then the whole True Alpha stuff with the story significance. So I'm gonna put this episode personally right below season 3, episode 2. Season 3, episode 8. This is notoriously known for being the Derek backstory episode. This is the episode where we figure out the true meaning behind the blue eye color in Teen Wolf. I made my Were Creature eye color guide for Teen Wolf back in July, which has like 102,000 views right now on the channel. It's like my second most popular video in the entirety of my catalog. And the explanation for blue eyes, it came from this episode. This was the episode that finally explained it, and how it has nothing to do with Omega status, like a lot of people were theorizing in the community back in the day. It has everything to do with one taking the innocent life of a human and it pretty much tainting their spark, essentially. So yeah, or not the innocent life of a human, but like someone who is innocent, right? So yeah, this episode is a great episode in my opinion. Peter narrates it for the most part. We don't really see too many characters going on. It's mainly um a a flashback backstory episode. I think because of how well put together this is also the episode where we first see Talia Hale for the first time ever. So yeah, we also get introduced to not only um the true meaning of the blue eye color, we also get our first on-screen appearance of, at least alive, of an evolved werewolf, which is cool, which teases Derek in season 4. And I just love the Derek and Paige story as well. It's very sad. It's very much like Scott and Allison's, except, no, I'm not gonna say except because Allison died just like Paige did. But yeah, I love their story. It's really good. It's kind of like a Romeo Juliet thing, two separate people from two different worlds who weren't meant to be together, yada yada yada. I think I'm gonna put this. Yeah, this is the highest rated season 3 episode, at least for the time being for me. The Girl Who Knew Too Much, season 3, episode 9. This is a fantastic episode. I love this episode to death. This is the big, big, big episode where Lydia is finally, after almost 2 seasons, revealed to be a Banshee. This is the episode where we first find out about Banshees and Teen Wolf and their existence. Everybody and their grandmother was trying to figure out, including characters in the show, Styles in particular, what the hell Lydia actually was. And we find out from Jennifer Blake exactly what Lydia is once Lydia screams she's a Banshee. And the Banshee in Teen Wolf is kind of weird because like, it's not supernatural, but it is at the same time. I might have to update my Banshees Explained guide and explain to you why that's the case. Because Lydia can still cross Mountain Ash, right? Which we know by the lore and rules established in the series, supernatural creatures can't cross Mountain Ash. Now, some can force their way through sheer force of will by trying to push through, Like Scott, only for that instance, in when he was trying to become a true alpha. The Oni can do it. We've seen them do it, and the Wild Hunt can do it as well. Even creatures as powerful as the Beast can't do it. Oh, and the Hellhound can just burn right through Mountain Ash. Can just walk right through and burn Mountain Ash like it was nothing. Which Parrish did in season 5 when he burned out all the Mountain Ash protecting Eichenhaus. So yeah. But this episode is absolutely iconic. I don't think this episode's talked about nearly enough, at least from people who are subscribed to my channel. I've seen numerous discussions in the fandom about this over the years. So I'm going to put The Girl Who Knew Too Much in the S tier. I'm going to put it above season 3, episode 1. And as a matter of fact, I think I enjoy it more than season 3, episode 8. So I'm going to put it there. The next episode is my favorite episode from Teen Wolf Season 3, Part 1, and that is The Overlooked. This is the episode pretty much where everybody's stuck in the hospital during that big storm, and the Alpha Pack are trying to hunt down Jennifer Blake all throughout the hospital. Oh, I forgot to also mention, Season 3, Episode 9 is also the episode where we find out that Jennifer Blake is the Duroc for the first time. So, yeah, forgot to mention that too. But this episode is easy S. Love this episode. Absolutely iconic episode with Styles and his bat. And the elevator scene where Derek, Jennifer Blake, Styles, and Scott are all in the elevator, and we get that awesome scene with them all just going up. And everybody just pissed at Jennifer Blake, like looking at her, trying to beat her up. You have Scott with his arms folded, looking pissed. You have Styles looking like a confused little kid with a bat in his hand. And then you have Derek just like, bro, why do I have to babysit this chick? So, yeah, great episode. Love this episode. Never get tired of rewatching it. It's really, really fun. For me, at least. Season 3, episode 11, Alpha Pack. This episode, in my opinion, is a little lackluster. I'm not going to lie. I personally think this is the weakest episode from season 3, part 1. This is the episode, of course, as you see on the cover of this picture right here, where Derek gives up his Alpha Spark, which is a big moment in the show because it signifies the end of the Alpha Derek saga and the era of Alpha Derek for the rest of the show. We would never see Derek become an Alpha again after this. And I think that it was the right choice to make on Jeff Davis's part because Derek, in my opinion, was not that great as an Alpha. He was like, I like Alpha Derek, but when I mean he's not great as an Alpha, he wasn't a good leader. That's what I mean. Like, he wasn't good to lead his own pack. He's not a leader. But this episode is also, like, the thing that I remember the most about this episode, aside from Derek losing his Alpha Spark, is, of course, the ending where you have Scott, Allison, and Styles all sacrifice themselves to repower the Nematon so that they can find their parents and save them from Jennifer Blake. So, because of that iconic scene, oh, and I should mind you, when they do this, it's officially confirmed canon. This is the first official death of Scott. So Scott actually dies here for the first time. This is the first time Styles dies. So Styles dies for the first time too. And this is also the first time Allison dies as well. Allison is also dead. So yes, it's crazy saying that. For the time between this episode and episode 12, Scott, Allison, and Styles were actually dead, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah, this episode, though, still, in my opinion, the weakest of season 3. So I'm going to put it in the B tier. The next episode is, of course, the absolutely iconic finale, Lunar Ellipse. This is one of the most well-known Teen Wolf episodes of all time. easy S tier. This finale is the best one we've gotten so far, and I think I'm gonna put it below season 2 episode 10 and season 3 episode 6. This is my second favorite episode from season 3. I absolutely adore this finale. Of course, numerous things happen, but the big standouts are we get Deucalion in his full powered state and absolutely cementing himself as the strongest alpha in the series without question. And Jeff Davis even confirmed that Deucalion is still stronger than Scott even after the show has ended. So, yeah, Deucalion is still more powerful than Scott after the show ended. I mean, that might change with Teen Wolf the movie, but like if Teen Wolf the movie didn't exist, Deucalion would still be more powerful than Scott, according to Jeff Davis. So we get Deucalion in his full powered state. We also get the awakening of true Alpha Scott McCall, aka the best Scott moment in the entirety of the series. What we've been building towards the whole season paying off in epic fashion, with Scott immediately threatening to kill Jennifer Blake if she doesn't stop right after he becomes an alpha, and him having the absolutely brilliant line of him saying, "I don't care what it does to the color of my eyes." Awesome, awesome moments from Scott in this episode. And yeah, the ending to this episode has one of the best song uses of the entire show with the song Kids, which is a song I still have on my playlist till this day. I love that song to death. And the way this episode ends is also just fantastic. It has a phenomenal ending as well, with Peter killing Jennifer Blake and being like, I've always been the alpha. I'm still the alpha. Like, that scene is, in my opinion, the best Peter scene in the whole show. So yeah, S tier, Lunar Ellipse, season 3, episode 12, the mid-season finale. Season 3A is done. Let's go through and rank it. So Motel California is going to stay at the top of S. So is Lunar Ellipse. I actually think everything is ranked where I want it to be ranked. I think I'm going to put Fireflies above these. No, I'm not going to put above Night School. Yep. I think everything is where it's supposed to be. All right. Next episode, or the next season, is season 3 part 2, aka the fandom's overall number 1 pick for the best individual Teen Wolf season of the entire show. This is the fan favorite. So without further ado, let's begin with season 3 episode 13, Anchors. Episode 13, the premiere of season 3 part 2, I'm going to put in the A tier. I'm going to put it at the top. Now, for me, the most important thing this episode, and obviously, is the major change to what they did with Peter now having a daughter. Of course, no one knew this. No one knew this yet. But all of a sudden, we just started off with the Malia storyline and trying to turn her back from a Werecoyote into a human. So this is where the 2-episode Malia arc starts, right? And I think it's a fine arc. It's a filler arc to me, to be honest. Like, I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was good. But I think the premiere was pretty good for what it was. It's not as good as Tattoo, but it's not as bad as the other premieres. It's in the middle. Fun fact, by the way, this is also the most watched Teen Wolf episode of all time live for any episode ever on TV. So yeah, while Teen Wolf was on TV, Anchors is still the most watched episode of Teen Wolf, at least while an episode was premiering weekly. So none of the viewers would ever match how many people viewed the season premiere for season 3, part 2, which, by the way, premiered on my birthday in 2014, which was cool. So if I was watching the series back then, that would have been a cool birthday present. Because if you go back and check when the episode was released, season 3 part 2 started on January 6th, 2014, which was when I turned 11. So that was cool. Next episode, More Bad Than Good, season 3, episode 14. I'm going to put this episode in B. I think this episode is fine. Not as good as Anchors. It finishes off the Malia storyline with trying to get her to turn back into a human. Like I said, it was a 2-episode thing. I think this episode's slightly overrated, in my opinion. I don't enjoy it as much as a lot of the episodes in A or even S. So yeah, I'm gonna put it right here above season 3, episode 11. Season 3, episode 15, Galvanize. This is the episode where we get the William Barrow stuff with Kira. And I think that stuff is absolutely scary because of just how isn't that the Alpha Roar? Yeah, it is. It comes from this it came from that episode. Yeah. Season 3, episode 15, Galvanize. I think this episode is really, really good. But is it S tier or top of the A tier? I'll let you guys decide, because right now I'm thinking about sitting at bottom S, in my opinion, for best episodes in the show. But I do think you guys can probably make a good argument for it being the top of A tier, in my opinion. But right now, for now, I'm settling at the bottom of S. Top of A? The stuff with Barrow and Kira was really good, though. I'm not gonna lie. Is it good enough to put it in S? I don't think so. I think I'm gonna leave it at top of A for now. Season 3, episode 16, Illuminated. This is the episode where they had the light show party in Derek's loft, and the Oni attacked the pack for the first time in the series. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna put this episode. I'm going to put this episode right here in the A tier, in my opinion. I think that's where it goes respectfully, at least for me. Top of the A. I would say it's towards the top of the A. Illuminated. You think it should go in the top of the A? I can see an argument for that. All right. All right. Next episode, season 3, episode 17, Silverfinger. This episode is really decently good. I don't think it's that great, though. So I'm going to put this episode in the B tier. The main thing I remember from this episode is like the meeting Isaac had with Katashi and Kincaid. And then, of course, the first on-screen appearance of Void Styles, or at least not really Void Styles in the sense of like the actual Void Styles, which is like the Styles clone that would be the Nogatsune later on, but like Styles being possessed by the Nogatsune, that like incarnation of Void Styles. So yeah, I think that this episode is B tier, so I'm gonna put it at the top of B. Riddled, season 3, episode 18. This for me is personally my favorite episode in season 3, part 2. This episode is extremely dark, like extremely dark. The beginning with Styles in the basement of Aiken House, or at least the illusion that the Nogitsune has him in, and you just see the Nogitsune prancing around in the shadows like some horror movie character, is absolutely terrifying. And I think even saying that it's terrifying is an understatement. If you were alone with Styles by yourself, barely with any power in your phone, with only your barely dimly lit phone flashlight flashing around, uh seeing somebody just talking to you, prancing around. And that's terrifying to me. And of course, this has the most iconic Scott and Styles moment of all time. I mean, the photo is literally the middle of the thumbnail of the video, with the Scott and Styles hug scene where Styles is about to do the MRI. And this is really the first on-screen appearance we get of Styles fully taken over. Your favorite episode is Face to Faceless. That's a odd pick. I wouldn't have thought that to be my favorite, to be a favorite episode, but kudos to you, dude. Um, but yeah, this is the first on-screen appearance of like Styles fully possessed by the Nogitsune, like entirely. So yeah, that's cool too. But yeah, Riddled is definitely my favorite episode of season 3, part 2. Great episode. Lotharia Volpine, season 3, episode 19, is an S tier episode, much like season 3, episode 18. The amount of mind games and just trickery Void Styles was playing on everyone this episode was masterfully done. This is such an underrated episode and is not nearly talked about enough. And the absolutely terrifyingly scary speech that Void Styles gives to Scott while literally stabbing him through the abandonment with Kira's sword is iconic and one of the best acted scenes from Dylan O'Brien in his entire career. That scene stole this episode for me, on top of every other scene with Dylan O'Brien in it this episode as well. So yeah, season 3, episode 19, underrated gem in my opinion, in the S tier. Season 3, episode 20, Echo House. Much like season 3, episode 19, another S tier episode, underrated. The ending scene when Deaton took him out was fire. Yeah, I have to agree with that. Not gonna lie. That scene was really good. But yeah, Echo House is an S tier episode. I think that this episode goes um hmm. I think it's better than Lunary Lips. I think that's where Echo House goes for now, in my opinion, at least. I think this episode, it's not overrated, it's not underrated. Like, it's talked about mildly in the fandom, but it's a really, really good Styles and Malia episode. Like, Styles and Malia are the main focus the whole episode, and I love it. This is also the episode where Styles and Malia kind of get together unofficially, and Styles loses his virginity to Malia as well, which was a cool scene for him, a good moment for Styles. And yeah, really like this episode. Pretty cool. Season 3, episode 21 is notoriously, at least for me, the worst episode in the entirety of season 3. I do not like this episode at all. I think this episode is definitely C tier. This is the Kira's mom backstory episode where we get the origins of the Nogitsune and how it came to be. And quite frankly, I just did not give a shit. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't care about Kira or her family enough yet to get a whole backstory episode dedicated to them. I just didn't care. Like, the fact that it took 3 seasons for Derek to get a backstory episode, but you give Kira and her family a backstory episode within the first, like, 5-6 episodes of us getting to know them, like, in my opinion, was a little too early, a little rushed. But it served its purpose for the story. I just think that it's not the best episode in the world to watch. It's kind of boring if you ask me. And as I have made it known, and a couple of my other YouTube friends have made it known, Arden Cho is not the greatest actress in the world. She's kind of a middle of the road actress, and in my opinion, the weakest actress in the entirety of season 3 as a whole. So, yeah. Eh, put this episode in C, bro. Season 3, episode 22, Devoid. I'm going to put this episode in the top of the A tier. The amount of absolutely god tier acting scenes from Dylan O'Brien this episode is unmatched by anything we've ever seen before or after. I mean, this is the scene where this is the episode where they have him tied up in the house in Scott's house with the tape around his mouth, and Dylan O'Brien putting on an absolute, like, all-timer performance for villains. This is also the episode where we see Void Styles, at least Styles still possessed by the Nogitsune, kind of show off a little bit of his powers, including his teleportation and his like super strength, as well as his electrokinesis, catching the taser from Allison and just holding it with the electrical currents not even affecting him at all, which was really cool to see. And yeah, like, I really dig this episode. And at the end of the episode, of course, Void Styles is officially born, the real Void Styles, and Styles separates from the Nogitsune, and then Lydia is taken by the actual Nogitsune itself in the form of Styles, which is, of course, the actual Void Styles, which I'll be referring to for the final 2 episodes in season 3. So yeah, that's where this goes. Season 3, episode 23, Insatiable. S tier episode. This has to go right below Riddled. This episode is the saddest one in the entire series. This is the final episode for Crystal Reed, aka Allison Argent. And the entire episode is literally building up to Allison's final send-off after getting fatally stabbed by the Oni in her final fight to save Lydia from the Nogitsune. What a awesome way to go out trying to save your friend. Of course, we get the iconic Lydia scene of her screaming Allison's name in the little tunnels underneath Beacon Hills with Styles' body. And Allison's death is still sad. It still hits hard. It probably will still hit hard even with her coming back in Teen Wolf the movie, because depending how the film handles her resurrection, I feel like this death will still have some significance and some meaning and impact on the overall story. Like I said, it just depends on how the movie handles it and how everything is done when we see the full final product in a few weeks. So yeah, Insatiable for me goes in the S tier. And now we're at the season 3 finale, The Divine Move. This finale is, in my opinion, the best one we have gotten so far. This episode goes right below season 3, episode 20. This was an absolutely epic finale for the 3rd season of Teen Wolf. We get the iconic "You Can't Kill Me" scene from Dylan O'Brien. Aiden loses his life fighting an Oni. We get the awesome intro of Dylan O'Brien's Void Styles attacking Beacon Hill's general with his 2 Oni and just absolutely slaughtering everyone there. And then we get the masterful Bad Moon Rising playing in the background. It's just a fantastic finale, in my opinion, and one that's definitely deserving of all the praise it gets. This finale was iconic. And then to top it all off, it sets up season 4 perfectly with the ending scene showing the resurrected Kate Argent come back as a brand new supernatural who we didn't know at the time yet to be the Were Jaguar. So yeah, awesome finale. And this is also the final send-off for Isaac Leahy. Of course, we would never see Isaac Leahy again after this episode, unfortunately, which is very sad. So yeah, that's all of Teen Wolf season 3. And I think for the first time in this stream, I'm not going to change my rankings. I think I'm comfortable with every placement for season 3, part 2, for sure. Next, we're going to head into season 4. So we are about halfway through the series and like almost halfway through the episodes. Just about. So, season 4, episode 1, The Dark Moon. This episode, in my opinion, was one of the weaker premieres. I think it's B tier. I'm not a fan of this episode in particular. Like, it's fine. Like, I like how they have everyone in Mexico. It was cool having a different setting, but different doesn't always mean great. So, I'm going to put The Dark Moon in B tier. I enjoy it more than season 1 and 2's opener, of course, but I don't enjoy it more than any episode in season 3. So I'm gonna put this episode right below Alpha Pack. Oh, obviously the only episode I enjoy more than season 3 is episode 21. Season 4, episode 2, 117. I'm gonna give this episode a A tier. I think it's a good episode. The weirdest thing in this episode, in my opinion, is the Derek and Kate makeout scene with Kate being twice his age physically and her literally making out with a Derek Hale who's like 16, 17 years old, and Kate is like in her late 20s, borderline 30s on some word we cannot say for reasons on YouTube. You guys know what I'm insinuating. Yeah, it's just weird. So it's gonna get brownie points taken off for that. I don't know why Jeff Davis had that in this episode or even in the series as a whole. That's just uncalled for and should have never been filmed. Somebody got to question him on that, in my opinion. So, yeah, that was really weird. And then also, Teen Wolf News has also been trying his hardest to defend that scene, and in my opinion, it just makes him look bad and just makes him look like the biggest Kate Argent simp in the entire fandom, in my opinion. Not gonna lie. So, yeah. Season 4, episode 2. I'm gonna put it right here. That's where it goes, in my opinion. Season 4, episode 3, Muted. If you saw my best episodes list, you know this is in my top 10. This episode is in the S tier. I love this episode. This is the episode when Liam first comes for the first time. And in my opinion, this is also the funniest episode in all of Teen Wolf. I'm not going to lie. This episode is the one where they have all the hilarious lacrosse stuff going on, and it's just a great episode. I'm not gonna lie. And it's also the episode where we see the Wendigos for the first time, so that's cool. And it's also the episode where Scott bites Liam and Liam gets turned into a werewolf. So this is also another very important episode for the show. Without this episode, Liam wouldn't be a werewolf. So yeah, S tier for me. Season 4, episode 4, The Benefactor. This is the episode where they try to lock Liam up during his first full moon at Lydia's lake house and throw a party to try to keep everyone distracted. I'm gonna put this episode in B. I like it more than the premiere, but I don't like it more than like an episode like Silverfinger or Chaos Rising. So I'm gonna put it right here. Season 4, episode 5, IED. This is the episode where we get the, honestly, in my opinion, iconic scene where Scott is breaking through the heat kind of band that Violet had and turns around pissed at her and then holds her up with one hand as a chokehold and knocks her out. That was a great scene, and that's like the most memorable thing from this episode, in my opinion. I can't really remember anything else. So yeah, I'm gonna put IED. I'll put it right here. Season 4, episode 6, Orphan or Orphaned. Excuse me. This is the episode where Scott makes that deal with Garrett in order to find Liam after Garrett puts Liam in that well full of wolfsbane, and Liam's trying to climb himself up out of the well. This episode is pretty good. I really like this episode. I really think it's an underrated one. We get the absolutely awesome death of Garrett in this episode too, when he gets taken out by that berserker like out of nowhere. That was crazy as hell. And yeah, the opening scene with Kate is honestly my favorite Kate Argent moment in the entire show. It just goes to show how truly terrifying Kate actually is as a supernatural and what she could have done if she was a supernatural prior to season 1. So yeah, I'm going to put this episode right here. Season 4, episode 7, Weaponized. This episode is S tier in my opinion. I love this episode. This is the episode where they take the oh my god, the PSATs, and they have the canine distemperament virus run through Satomi Ido's pack and affect Scott, Malia, and Kira. And the only one who's available to get the cure is Styles. And this is the episode where we get the iconic scene of Styles almost dying to the chemist, and then Scott's dad coming in and shooting the chemist in the back of the head with the blood splattering all over Styles' face. So yeah, awesome episode. And it's also the episode where Malia finds out she's the daughter of Peter as well, which is big. So yeah, S tier episode, bottom of S. Actually, no. I'm gonna put this episode. Yeah, I'll put it right here. Season 4, episode 8, Time of Death. I'm gonna put this episode in the A tier. I'll probably put it right here. I don't like this episode as much as like an Unleashed or an Anchors, but this episode is pretty good. This episode is the one where Scott is like pretending to be dead so they can get insight on the Deadpool, and it's the one where Scott has all these flashes of like what's really going on in his mind, like the conflicting nature of whether Scott wants to be a werewolf or a monster. And we get very good visual representations of that in this episode, which is cool. So I think this episode belongs in A tier. The next episode is season 4, episode 9, Perishable. This is the episode where we find out Parrish is supernatural. Of course, we wouldn't know what type of supernatural Parrish is exactly until season 5, episode 9 or 10. So, yeah, it was a while before we found out what Parrish actually was. But this is the episode where we first find out he is supernatural and he's added to the Deadpool. So, yeah, that's probably the most memorable aspect, aside from Meredith being revealed to be the benefactor at the end. I'm gonna put this episode right. I think it's a B tier episode, in my opinion. I'm gonna put it in. I'll put it right here. Season 4, episode 10, Monstrous. So this is the episode where we find out that Peter's working alongside Kate to take out Scott. And this is also the episode where the benefactor storyline ends and the Deadpool is dealt with once and for all. So yeah, the benefactor storyline is put to a close in this episode. And then the rest of the season is pretty much wrapping up the storyline with Peter and Kate and dealing with that. And this is the scene where we see Scott's full powered state for his for the first time. Like Scott's pretty much like beast form. We see it for the first time in this episode. And the CGI on it is okay, but it's still an awesome looking form for Scott. I wish Scott would turn into it again. Hopefully we see it in the movie. Here's hoping it happens. But yeah, this episode, in my opinion, I think is B tier too. I think this episode is right here, in my opinion. Season 4, episode 11, A Promise to the Dead. This is, of course, the episode where Kate attacks Scott and Kira, and Kate beats Scott to a pulp with her Berserker, although a lot of people like to say the Berserker was switching with Scott, with Kate, with Kate in terms of fighting Scott and Kira. But in my opinion, I think Kate was fighting Scott for the most part, most of the time. So I'm just going to say that Kate beat Scott fair and square for the most part, with some assistance. But messed up the tier. But in my opinion, I think this episode's good but not great. Another B tier episode. I put this probably in the B tier, right around here. Season 3, episode 11. Season 4, episode 12, Smoke and Mirrors, is an easy S tier choice. I've talked about this episode for years and why I love it so much. This is also the final send-off for Derek in the series as a main character. This is Derek Hale's final episode as a main on the show, which is very emotional as well. But I think they ended off Derek's story here perfectly, in my opinion, with him coming full circle as an evolved werewolf. And this is also the episode where we get, in my opinion, the best fight in the whole show, which is the fight that's been building up from season 1, episode 1, all the way to now, which is Scott versus Peter. And that fight was well worth the wait. So in my opinion, I'm going to put season 4, episode 12 at the top of the S tier, right below Riddled, Fury, and Motel California as my favorite episode in Teen Wolf season 4. So that's going to do it for Teen Wolf season 4. We only have 40 episodes left, so we're almost done with this. Sorry, guys. We're like 2 hours and 14 minutes into this. I told y'all it was going to be a long stream, so yeah, we're almost done, guys. So let's start with season 5. Season 5, episode 1, Creatures of the Night. This, in my opinion, is one of the better premieres in the entire show. I love this episode, especially the ending when they sign their initials on the in the library, and Scott adds Allison's as well because obviously she's dead and she couldn't be there to write it. You know what? I just thought of something. It would be really cool if Scott goes back to Beacon Hills High School and shows Allison, now that she's revived, the initials that were written there during this time in the show, so that Allison can see that she was always part of the pack even after she died and still had a significant impact on Scott's life. So I'm gonna put season 5, episode 1 at the top of the A tier. I don't think it's as good as Devoid or Illuminated or Galvanized, but I do think it's better than Anchors. So I'm going to put it here. That's where Creatures of the Night goes. Season 5, episode 2, Parasomnia. This episode is fine for what it is. I don't remember much of this episode though. I do know this is the one where we're first introduced to Tracy, and we kind of get a little bit of what's going on with her, and the whole Chimera stuff kind of continues, and then we kind of start to see Theo for who he really is in this episode, kind of threatening his parents if they actually are his parents, which I think they are. I think this episode's all right. In my opinion, it's not great, so I'm gonna put it in C. But probably I enjoy it more than all these episodes from season 1 and season 3. So I'm gonna put it probably right here. Season 5, episode 3, Dream Catchers. You guys know, if you saw my top 10 favorite Teen Wolf episodes, this is one of my favorite episodes in the entire series. I love this episode. This is going to be in the top of the S tier. This episode is really good. It deals with the Tracy stuff, the continuation of that from episode 2. And we get the awesome reveal of Tracy being a werewolf chimera, and just her running rampant through the police station and injuring Lydia, as well as trying to kill Lydia's mom, and then the whole thing with Malia trying to chase her, and then the absolutely just saddening ending of Malia breaking down and crying after seeing the Dread Doctors for the first time come and kill Tracy is just such a good moment for Malia as a character. And Lydia, of course, you guys see the image right here. This is one of the most iconic Lydia shots of all time. This shot was so good. This was the thumbnail for Teen Wolf Season 5's official trailer. So obviously Lydia looks amazing here. And she's also very amazing in this episode as well. So yeah, and this was the period where I really was starting to put Lydia in my top 5 favorite Teen Wolf characters of all time. So yeah, season 5, episode 3 goes right here in the S. Season 5, episode 4, Condition Terminal. I mainly remember this episode for the Scorpion Chimera, the one that Corey was with at the gay club, and Styles getting attacked by Donovan to end off the episode. Other than that, this isn't a very good episode, and it's not very memorable. So for that, I'm going to have to put it in the C tier. As a lot of people know, I'm not the biggest fan of season 5, part 1. I think most of it is boring, in my opinion, and kind of killed the momentum for the show, if you ask me. So I'm going to probably put this episode right here. Season 5, episode 5 is more of the same for me. I don't like this episode. The only good part is the beginning when Styles we're dealing with the ending of the previous episode, and we deal with Styles killing Donovan. That's the best part of the episode. Styles killing Donovan at the beginning. And then the rest of the episode is just a snooze fest where it's just them reading the Dread Doctor's book for like half the episode and trying to figure out what's going on. And then, of course, them visiting Eichen House at the end and visiting Dr. Valak. So I'm gonna put this episode in the D tier. It's definitely better than Raving though, but yeah, this episode's D tier in my opinion. Season 5, episode 6, reading required. I'm not a fan of this episode either. They tried to do something different, which was like a different filming style for like all the past like memories being unlocked after everybody was reading the Dread Doctor's book, which was cool. We get also another very good iconic Malia scene where she comes and saves Scott from the pathologist, one of the Dread Doctors, which is pretty cool. And we get the good scene. We get the great scene of Malia running back to the elevator and Melissa screaming "run" while the Dread Doctor's chasing her as well. So yeah, I'm gonna put reading required in the D tier. I don't think this is a great episode either. The ending is really good, but most of the episodes surrounding it, it was a good change to do something different, but different, like I mentioned before, it doesn't always mean great. So yeah, I'm gonna put reading required at the top of D. Strange Frequencies, Season 5, Episode 7. This episode is decent. The main thing I remember about this episode is that we find out that Hayden is a chimera, and we find out that she's a werewolf were-jaguar chimera, which was cool to see. And that Hayden has a connection to berserkers, which is awesome. Of course, with her being part were-jaguar, like Kate in season 4. So yeah, for that, I'm gonna put this in the C tier. I'm gonna put this probably at the top of C, in my opinion. The next episode, season 5, episode 8, Ouroboros. I couldn't even possibly tell you what happens in this episode, other than the fact that Liam and Hayden for half the episode are just talking and having pointless conversations while they're being held captive by the Dread Doctors, I'm pretty sure, while everybody's trying to figure out a way to go and find them and recover them. So yeah, another C tier episode. Gonna put this one below Strange Frequencies and below Battlefield. At the next spot is season 5, episode 9, Lies of Omission. This is a very important episode. It's the episode where Scott and Styles' friendship is pretty much ruined for a couple of episodes. I think this episode's really good. It's better than a lot of the other episodes in season 5, part 1, but I'm not going to put it any higher than bottom of A. So I'm going to put this episode probably right here. And then the next episode is the mid-season finale, Status Asthmaticus, season 5, episode 10. This is the episode where we don't see it yet, but the Beast of Gévaudan makes its presence known for the first time. The beginning of the episode, we see that the Beacon Hills high school sign was thrown all the way from the entrance into one of the hallways through the ceiling and the roof of the school. Like there's a huge hole through the building. And that was caused by the Beast of Gévaudan. The Beast threw that through the school. We know that because it was kind of confirmed later on in season 5B that it was the Beast, and it couldn't have been any other creature aside from him. So, yeah, because Parrish wasn't present around the school doing all that stuff. So, yeah, that's cool. This is also the episode where Scott has, of course, that controversial fight with Liam, where everybody uses this fight to rag on Scott and be like, Scott's weak. Oh my God, he lost to Liam, but y'all just continue to leave out context and not understand the whole reason that fight happened. And of course, Theo comes in and Scott dies for the second time. Theo kills him, and then 15 minutes later, Scott magically comes back to life somehow. So yeah. Plot armor took the W at the end of the day. But this episode's pretty good in my opinion. I think this episode goes right about here, if you ask me. That's where Status Asthmaticus goes. Now on to Season 5, Part 2, with Season 5, Episode 11, The Last Chimera. The Last Chimera, which is also the first Teen Wolf episode I ever saw live on TV. So this episode holds a very special place in my heart for being the first Teen Wolf premiere I ever saw live on television back 7 years ago in January 2016. So, oh yeah, and this episode just turned 7 years old yesterday too. How convenient. Last Chimera is a pretty good episode, in my opinion. I'm going to put it here. This is the episode where Styles' dad is poisoned by that Berserker Chimera, and Styles has to work with Scott and Theo, like, with him not really wanting to work with Scott, of course, because their relationship is kind of messed up at the moment, and him not wanting to work with Theo for obvious reasons, to try and find a cure for that. So that's like the main plot of the episode. So I'm going to put The Last Chimera right here, in my opinion. Season 5, Episode 12, Damnatio Memoriae. This is the first on-screen appearance of the Beast of Jevadan. I really like this episode. It's really cool. We get a really good Scott McCall scene, of course, with him about to fight the Chimera Pack all by himself in the sewers of Beacon Hills, and him having, in my opinion, his most terrifying look as an alpha in the entire show we've ever seen before and after. With him, of course, just being frustrated because 1, he was dead, 2, his pack is ruined, 3, he just didn't want to deal with any more of Theo's BS. So, yeah, I'm going to put Damnatio Memoriae probably right around Unleashed. I really like this episode. Season 5, Episode 13, Codominance. This is the episode where we see Scott and Styles take that trip to Shiprock in order to rescue Kira and finish reuniting the pack, which wouldn't happen until the episode after. But in my opinion, even though Kira's story is really bad in Season 5 and 4, this is probably one of the better Kira episodes in the whole show. Despite me not liking Kira as a character that much, I will give her credit here. This was a really good episode for her. And I like the development they gave Kira here. So that was cool. I'm glad Jeff Davis did something with Kira for once. So I'm going to actually put this episode right here. I think that's where it goes, in my opinion. Season 5, Episode 14, The Sword and the Spirit. This is, of course, the long-awaited return of Deucalion. And this is the episode where we start to see the Malia and Desert Wolf beef on screen finally happen. And this is when Scott finally reunites his pack and finally decides to go and break Lydia out of Eichenhaus to finish reuniting his pack once and for all. This episode's okay. It's B tier in my opinion. I'd probably put it maybe around the Season 1 premiere. I'd probably put it here. It's not great. I think it's okay. Amplification, Season 5, Episode 15, in my opinion, has the best intro sequence to any Teen Wolf episode ever. I mean, the intro is so iconic. Like, it's like every Teen Wolf fan should know the intro to this episode when the Beast just lands in the middle of nowhere on that street and turns around, and we get the best look of the Beast in full detail in the entire season before and after. Like, this is the best look we got for him on the show, clearly, from what we can see. And then you have, of course, the entire Beacon Hills Sheriff Station, like everyone, chasing the Beast all the way to the hospital alongside Styles and Scott. And then you have that iconic scene where the hospital is messed up way worse than when Void Styles went in there in season 3, and you have the Beast and the Hellhound fighting all over the hospital, and it results in Paris losing the fight and then flying all the way into a wall, damn near killing Styles in the process, or almost killing Styles in the process. So yeah, iconic opening, and then of course you have the whole stuff with breaking Lydia out of Viking House. And this is sort of just part 1 to that. So for amplification, this is one of my favorite episodes in the entire series. I'm going to put this in the bottom of the S tier right here. I love this episode. And then y'all know how I said there's an episode that's better than Motel California? Well, here's that episode. This, in my opinion, is the best episode in the entire series, and that is season 5, episode 16, Liability, which is going to take the crown for the best Teen Wolf episode of all time. I'm not going to talk about Liability much. You guys know what happens in this episode. This concludes the Eichen House storyline that's been going on since season 5, episode 11. This concludes the Gabriel Valak storyline that's been going on since season 4. And this also is the official, in my opinion, true start of Stydia officially in the series. This episode, in my opinion, is when Stydia officially starts. And the rest of the episode is absolutely iconic. Every Teen Wolf fan knows how phenomenal this episode is. Holland Roden and Dylan O'Brien absolutely stole the show from everyone else in this episode with their performances here, and both of them knocked it out of the park. So, yeah, and we also get that awesome kill with Valak, where he gets his head split in half by Lydia's Banshee scream, which was amplified by him. So that also gives this episode bonus points as well. It's pretty cool. Season 5, episode 17, A Credible Threat. This is the return of Coach for the first time since season 4. So this episode is Coach's first appearance in season 5 as a whole, which is kind of crazy. We got like almost a whole season without Coach. Kind of wild. And this is also the episode where I remember the most memorable thing of this episode is like them interrogating Parrish and Cerberus, his hellhound, inside that little tube in the sewers. And then Liam absolutely being a Chad and jumping towards the beast to give us one of the greatest cinematic shots in the entirety of this series. And not only the series, but the franchise as a whole. Like, what would have made this the best shot of the entire franchise is if instead of Liam jumping at the beast, it was Scott jumping at the beast here. If Scott was jumping at the beast, this would be hands down, to me at least personally, the coolest and most badass Teen Wolf shot of all time. And even with it not being Scott, it already, in my opinion, is the coolest and most badass Teen Wolf shot of all time. Like, just seeing the beast jump over that school bus as fast as it did, and Liam just having no fear trying to take it out, is absolutely awesome. And it was really cool to see live on TV, and it's still cool to see now rewatching the show. So for that, I'm going to put this at the top of A. I really like this episode. It's not as good as Galvanize. It's not as good as Creatures of the Night. And it's not as good as Anchors either. But I do like it more than Unleashed Season 3, Episode 4. So I'm going to put it there. Season 5, Episode 18, The Maid of Gévaudan. This is the Beast backstory episode. And of course, the last time we would see Crystal Reed come back to Teen Wolf, at least until Teen Wolf the movie comes out in a couple of weeks. as Allison. But of course, she didn't play Allison here. She played a brand new character. She played the sister of the Beast, Marie Jean Valet. I really love this episode. This is also the episode where we get that absolutely Giga Chad fight between Scott and the Beast in the library with literally everyone watching them fight, which was crazy because I was like, okay, the town definitely knows supernaturals exist now. So yeah, it was weird because they never touch on that plot line until season 6B. But I think that should have been one of the biggest plot lines that were addressed in season 6, part 1. Like the fact that the Beast of Zevadon stuff just happened and no one even addressed it in 5B, and we kind of just move on to the Garrett Douglas storyline with the Lowenmensch and the Ghost Riders is kind of jarring in my opinion. And I don't like how they pushed all of that back to season 6, part 2. And y'all know how I feel about that season. I don't think it was done particularly well there. So, yeah. Season 5, episode 18, a really good episode. I like it more than Anchors. I like it more than Creatures of the Night and Galvanize. I'm going to put it up here. I really love Maid of Zavadon. It's a fantastic episode. The Beast of Beacon Hills. This, in my opinion, is the weakest episode from season 5, part 2. I would say it's on the level of a Strange Frequencies. So I'm going to put this episode in the C tier, probably above Strange Frequencies, to be honest. Because that ending with the Beast killing all the Dread Doctors except for the Surgeon, and then fighting Scott, the Hellhound Parish, and Chris at the same time, and then transforming back and revealing that it's not Mason, and then Sebastian in his place. Great ending, and ended off the episode perfectly, setting up the finale in a very perfect way. Like there's no, I couldn't have done the episode differently even if I wanted to. So yeah, cool ending, but not a great episode in my opinion overall. And then you have one of my favorite all-time episodes of the whole show, which this is easily going in S tier for the ending alone and the emotional impact it has for longtime viewers and hardcore viewers of the show. Apotheosis, season 5, episode 20, the season 5 finale. Apotheosis, in my opinion, is my second favorite finale of the entire show. I think this episode is an easy S, and I'm putting it right below Riddled, right here. So, yeah, we get the long-awaited Beast versus Hellhound fight, although I wish they had a bigger budget so we can see that fight in its entirety and how it was supposed to go down according to the painting. We also see the downfall of Theo finally after it seemed like no one could do anything to stop him for the entirety of the season. We see the death of finally all the Dread Doctors as well. And this is also Kira's final episode in the series too. This is the Kira send-off episode as well. I love Apotheosis so much. I loved the episode when it first came out, and I still do till this day. The ending where Styles tells Lydia that Allison saved Scott is literally one of the best moments in the whole show. Because I've always said this, right? When doing these versus battles and these rankings, especially when I put the Beast against Scott, I'm like, the Beast gives Scott his credit. Like, Sebastian doesn't just call Scott a punk. Like, he actually calls Scott, like, he gives Scott his due credit. He calls him a strong werewolf, which he is. And I've been saying Scott's strong for quite a while now. He's just very inconsistent, which is true. Like, his speech don't add up with other things he does in the show. Like, it's very inconsistent with what he does in season 4. Like, if he would have done what he did to Peter in season 4, in season 5 and 6, there would be no one who could touch Scott probably except the Beast or Parrish or Howin or the Nogatsune in my opinion. But like I said, he's inconsistent. So yeah. But the Beast was about to kill Scott too. That's one thing a lot of y'all just let go over your head. If the Beast did not put his claws inside of Scott's neck and did the memory thing that werewolves can do, and see the memories of Allison, who we thought was his sister, Scott would have literally died, bro. Right there for the final time and probably permanently. So, yeah, Apotheosis, the second best finale in the entire show. If the series ended here, I wouldn't be too mad, but because originally Jeff Davis was planning on having Apotheosis be the series finale, and he wanted to end it at season 5, but he was like, why not just go for one more season? Which I think if the next season was just 10 episodes and we just got season 6 part 1, it would have ended the series perfectly. But of course, season 6 part 2 had to ruin all of that. So yeah. And now we're at the final stretch of episodes before we get out of here. Season 6, episode 1, Memory Lost. This episode is iconic. This is an easy S tier and my favorite premiere of the entire show. This episode is going in number 3. And you notice the top 3 episodes all have Lydia at the center of each of these pictures. I don't know if y'all noticed that. But anyway, this is the episode, of course, where Styles gets taken by the Wild Hunt, and we get the official on-screen confirmation of the official build-up to the final payoff for Stydia, where Styles tells Lydia that he loves her, and then Lydia, the whole season, is kind of depressed about it because she didn't get to tell him, because she wanted to tell Styles that she loved him too, but she never got to before he got taken, and she didn't get to do it until they got him back in the finale. So yeah, very emotional first episode, very sad first episode, and a lot of stylistic imagery, which I really like. And the scene where Styles is just talking to people and everybody's starting to forget, it's really sad and it's really iconic. So yeah, season 6, episode 1, Memory Lost. Not my third favorite episode, but my favorite premiere of the entire show. Started off season 6 beautifully. Season 6 definitely had the best start to any season, I'm not gonna lie. Season 6, episode 2, on the other hand, Superposition, in my opinion, is a D tier episode. I don't like it. It killed all the momentum, in my opinion, that the season premiere had. And yeah, the I can't even tell you remotely what happens, except like Mason and Corey figure out that Corey has a connection to the Dread Doctors through his powers, or not Dread Doctors, the Ghost Riders through his powers, which was a cool revelation at the time. So that's cool. But other than that, yeah, I'm not really the biggest fan of this episode. If you would have asked me when this season first came out, this episode probably would have been an A, but yeah, it fell off a lot for me. Same with season 6, episode 3, Sundowning. This is another episode I'm going to have to put in the D tier as well. This is the episode where they go visit Styles' grandfather, Elias Stalinsky, at the elderly home, and it's just half the episode spent there, and I'm like, bro, like, it's cool seeing more of Styles' family, but like, quite frankly, this is kind of boring. Can we move on to something else? The most interesting part of this episode was all the stuff surrounding Garrett Douglas and seeing what happened after he escaped the Dread Doctors at the end of season 5 and broke free, and seeing his struggles adjusting to modern society as a Nazi Lowenmensch, right? So yeah, season 6, episode 4, Relics is going to go in the A tier towards the top. This is a top tier 8. This is a top tier episode of the show, in my opinion. The scene where the Dread Doctors just start annihilate. No, I keep saying Dread Doctors. The Ghost Riders keep annihilating everyone at the lacrosse game while it's raining is terrifying. Like that, once you see them, there were literally people freaking out, getting up and trying to run away, and you cannot escape these dudes, bro. They will find you, hunt you down, hang you, off you. They will do whatever it takes to make sure you are erased from existence. So yeah, terrifying episode. Really great episode for both Scott and Liam. I was really proud of both of those characters this episode for not caring about anybody figuring out they were werewolves and them just putting everybody else to first before themselves and just trying to protect one person, even if it meant revealing their secret to everyone, which kind of defeats the purpose of that whole like keeping their powers a secret, because everybody kind of already knew at least about Scott and Malia and Liam in season 5, with all the kids in the library who were watching that event go down with them fighting the beast and the Maid of Javadan. So I'm like, why are they still trying to keep their powers a secret if like a bunch of the kids at the school already know? But it's neither here nor there. That's where this episode goes. Season 6, episode 5, Radio Silence. This is the Styles and Peter episode. It's literally Styles and Peter centric, and then the episode where Lydia goes to Claudia and Sheriff Stilinski to tell them about Styles more. This episode goes right above Fury. This is one of my favorite episodes in the entire show as well. Has one of the best pairings ever with Styles and Peter. They were both phenomenal this episode. And this is the only other time we see Styles this season as well. Styles is only in, bro, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Styles is only in 5 episodes in the entirety of season 6. He's only in season 6, episode 1, episode 5, episode 10, episode 11, and then episode 20. Those are the only 5 episodes in season 6 that Styles is a part of. He's not even in the season, both halves of the season for the most part, which is kind of insane. So, yeah. Radio Silence goes in the S tier. Ghosted, I'm going to put this episode in the F tier. I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan. Even when it first came out, this episode bored me to death. I did not care about any of the Kanan stuff. Of course, the only reason they went to Kanan is because that's where Styles told them to go. So, yeah, I mean, there's good moments in here with the Malia thing with her family and seeing them in like a hallucination. And like Lydia finding another Banshee and Leonore was cool. But like the whole weird like ghost projection shit that was going on with Leonore's son, like I just didn't care. It was annoying and it was boring. I was just trying to get through this episode as fast as I could. So yeah, first F tier, season 6, episode 6. Season 6, episode 7, Heartless, is going to go in the B tier. This is the episode where they capture the one Ghost Rider and they're trying to like interrogate it. And then Douglas attacks it, eats its pineal gland, and becomes a tribrid. Part lion, part wolf, part Ghost Rider. So, yeah. I'm going to put this episode in the B tier. I'm probably going to put it below season 2, episode 9. Oh, yeah, I forgot to also mention season 6, episode 6. This is also the episode when Theo first comes back, too, which is probably one of the better parts of this episode as well. Season 6, episode 8, Blitzkrieg. This is the Garrett Douglas backstory episode with us. This is the episode where we officially find out what he is, and of course, him being a Lowen Mitch. I'm gonna put this episode at an A. I like this episode a lot, still do, after all these years. Probably gonna put it right below Codominance. Season 6, episode 9, Memory Found. C tier episode. Not a lot goes on here except for like Lydia, Scott, and Malia trying to remember Styles by just like freezing themselves to death in like the tank they had perishing in season 5. And like I like it for all the nostalgic scenes that we see from like the memories and stuff. But other than that, this episode really doesn't do much for me, to be honest. So I'm gonna put it in the. Actually, I think Memory Found's really in D tier. I'm probably gonna put it at the top. The only thing that saves this episode from being bottom D and not F is the nostalgic moments. And then, of course, we have, in my opinion, the best finale in the entirety of the show, Riders on the Storm, which everyone and their grandmother knows, at least for me, is an S tier episode. I'm not talking about Riders on the Storm. Y'all know why this episode is so good. The fight against Douglas, Scott versus Douglas, the ending scene, Scott and Styles' final day of high school. What more do I have to say? This should have been the real series finale, and I know I'm not the only fan who thinks like this. There are plenty of people over the years on this channel who I've asked, should Riders on the Storm have been the real finale, or do you guys like the Wolves of War? And a lot of you guys have said this episode should have been the actual series finale of Teen Wolf because that's exactly what it felt like. So yeah, Riders on the Storm, gonna put it right here, in my opinion. The best finale in the whole show. And the final 10 episodes of Teen Wolf. Good God Almighty, you're going to see a lot of F tiers. Be prepared. Let's finish this off so we can end this stream off strong. Season 6, episode 11, Said the Spider to the Fly. This episode is going to go in the A tier. Definitely the creepiest episode in all of Teen Wolf. I really think this started off season 6, part 2 really strong. We also get the Liam versus Howlin fight here as well, which was ridiculous when it first came out because we were all like, there's no way Liam should be able to fight a Hellhound, and realistically, he shouldn't be able to. Granted, Howlin had just fought Parrish seconds before Liam just jumped him out of nowhere. So I guess you can kind of excuse it, but I do think that it's kind of ridiculous and outlandish as well. So yeah, Said the Spider to Fly, I'm probably going to put above Unleashed. This is one of, in my opinion, the better premieres of the whole show. Raw Talent. In my opinion, this is the worst episode in the entire series. F tier easy. Made me fall asleep every time I rewatched it during my rewatches. Hate this episode to death. This is the episode where Scott and Malia go to Argent during that arms dealer stuff, and they kind of, I don't even remember what they do. That's how bad this episode is. And this episode begins the pointless and one of the worst plot lines in the whole show, the Brett and Lori death plot line, which will continue in this episode, season 6, episode 13, After Images, my second least favorite episode in the entire show. The only good part of this episode is the ending when the entire town finds out about supernaturals, even though technically the entire town should have already known about them from the Beast of Zevadon in season 5 with all the craziness going on with that thing. So the fact that they're finding out now, supposedly in canon, is kind of weird to me. And even if the beast wasn't a thing, you would think that all the people would know about supernaturals because the Ghost Riders literally erased everybody in the town from existence. So yeah, this whole plot line of the town just now finding out about the supernatural is kind of dumb in my opinion in retrospect. So yeah, After Images F tier. Face to Faceless season 6 episode 14 is a really good episode. Most memorable part of it is the whole Liam getting beat up scene by Gabe and all the lacrosse kids. I really like this episode a lot, with mainly because of the whole Liam stuff. So I'm gonna put this episode probably right here. It's a pretty good episode, not gonna lie. A tier for sure. Pressure Test, in my opinion, is a really good episode as well, but it's not A tier for me at least. I know a lot of you guys were saying here that Pressure Test is your favorite episode. I don't know how it is. I don't think the episode is that great to be up there with these. Um but yeah, I think it's in the B tier. I would say probably right here is where Pressure Test would go, in my opinion. Um, Season 6, episode 16, Triggers, D tier. This is the episode where Liam and Theo are stuck at the zoo. I don't like this episode at all. Bottom of D. Season 6, episode 17, Werewolves of London, C tier. Very, very disappointing episode, in my opinion. This is of course the episode when Ethan and Jackson returned to the show. This episode, if you were around in the fandom back then in 2017, was extremely hyped up to the nth degree. Like, this episode every single day would be hyped up as being like a mega reunion for Jackson coming back by MTV, only for Jackson and Ethan to only be in the beginning of the episode and the ending of the episode. Major, major letdown. I can care less about anything else that goes on. So this is going to go in the bottom of C, right above this episode. Season 6, episode 18, Genotype. Most memorable thing is Miss Finch being revealed to be the worst alpha in the entire show, and the Anukate forming finally for the first time. I'm going to put this in F. I'm probably going to put this at the top of the F tier. Broken Glass. This is the penultimate episode of Teen Wolf and the second to last episode of season 6, the set episode 99. I'm going to put Broken Glass in the B tier, mainly because of the whole Scott and Malia training with Deucalion stuff and Derek's return, obviously. Derek's return being the primary highlight of this episode. So yeah. This episode's going to go in the B tier, probably right here. And then season 6, episode 20, The Wolves of War, in my opinion, the worst finale in the entire show. And in my opinion, one of my least favorite episodes of the entire show in general. I think this episode has gotten slightly better over the years, but it's still a terrible episode and a terrible finale. So the Wolves of War goes, in my opinion, at the top of the D tier. That's where the series finale goes. So yeah. Whew. 2 hours, damn near 3 hours to rank every episode. That was a lot, guys. So yeah, we did it. We ranked every episode of MTV Teen Wolf. It's like 11:29 p.m. where I am. I started this at like 8 p.m. So yeah, it's been literally 3 hours. We're gonna end the stream off here. Thank you guys for watching. My birthday ends in 30 minutes now. It's kind of crazy. I'm going to take the day off tomorrow, probably work on scripts. The What If Styles Got Bit by Peter video will be out Sunday, along with another video as well. So look forward to that. And then Teen Wolf the movie videos will return next week consistently. I'm going to be doing my final predictions for the film and my final predictions for every single character in the film as well. So look forward to the Teen Wolf the movie videos returning next week as well in full swing. As Teen Wolf the movie is now, well, as of 30 minutes from the point where the stream's about to end, 19 days away. So we only have 19 days left until Teen Wolf the movie. If you guys want me to do this type of video again where I'm ranking live and you guys are ranking with me, let me know in the comments. And without further ado, my name is Jade. I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. And I will see you guys later. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your night. And thanks you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for all the birthday wishes. I had a great 20th birthday, and it was one for the books. So thanks, guys. See you later.